Hello and welcome to episode 3 of the Boss Battle podcast. My name's James, I'm your host, and with me today I have Chris.
Hello.
I've got Adam.
Hello.
And Carl.
Hello.
Adam, welcome to the podcast. It's your first episode.
I'm all excited.
It's like we're popping your podcast cherry. So we'll start with our usual features and just a second on a round table on what everyone's been doing this week. But just to give you an idea what you can expect in this episode, we're talking about the N64 and its 20th anniversary and how old that makes us all feel. We're talking about Gears of War, both the new release and the movie, which has now been announced or is in beginning. We're talking about Star Wars and the new Rogue One trailer. We've got Call of Duty 4, the remastered edition. We're talking about pro gaming pads. We've got Chris and his movie reviews, and we've got some TV as well. And we've got our quiz, which we obviously will do at the end of every episode, and we'll see how that goes and how Adam claws his way into the scoring in that. So let's start off with our round table then, guys. What have you all been doing this week? Chris?
So I watched episode 1 of Westworld, which I found really interesting. I'm not going to say anything specific to the plot because I'm an episode behind myself. It's actually, as we speak, this episode 2's already aired. It's as interesting as the trailers made it out, is all I'll say on it.
Okay. Yeah. In your opinion, is it the... I know Sky have been pimping it out as your Game of Thrones fill while Game of Thrones isn't around. Would you say it's that interesting? Is it that good? Yeah,
it's obviously putting crazy pressure on the show, but from my first viewing of episode 1, I'd say it certainly has the potential to fill that void for the next few months.
It's on my radar. I've heard good things, and I think the general review scores have been really high for episode 1 and 2.
I haven't seen any of the review scores yet, but I do definitely want to watch it.
I think IGN gave them both a 9.
Yeah,
I think
sounds about right.
That's high praise, so I'm really interested in that. Cool. There's no point asking what you've been playing this week if you know you don't play. So, although you did finish a book.
I did.
Is that something you wanted to talk about later, or do you want to talk about
I think it's one I haven't composed because I literally finished it last night. I haven't composed proper notes on it, so I think I'll save it. But Ready Player One, I'd have finished the book, and I'd very much like to review it in future.
Okay, brilliant, sounds good. I thoroughly enjoyed that as well. I know, Carl, you've read it, so
yes, I loved it.
AJ's probably got no idea what we're talking about.
Don't
We'll
read.
fill you in.
Don't read. They bring out a film.
Don't or can't.
They bring out a film. I'm on it.
You can.
They are bringing out a film.
Oh, there we go.
I'll
catch up.
Steven Spielberg. You can listen to it on a
audio book like I did. I didn't actually read it. Okay, AJ, what have you been up to?
Don't really get a chance to watch much TV in terms of series and things like that. In terms of games, I've been playing the new Forza Horizon 3, which I've sunk about 2 or 3 hours into, so I've got a general good idea of the game. Really like it. Carries on from Forza Horizon 2, really generally the same sort of game, except you get to customise a lot more. Had a little blast on Gears of War 4, played the first part of the first level, the prologue. Really enjoyed that, just felt like playing a lot like Gears of War 3 was. Looking forward to playing the Horde mode, which I haven't had to go on yet. And had a quick blast on Rainbow Siege, which we all decided was going to be a game we was all going to play together. So I just thought...
I bought it.
Yeah.
I got it, you got it.
Yeah.
So I just thought I'd have a little...
Chris, have you got it?
I haven't.
So I've had a little mess about with that, had a little go at some of the customisation options, played a few games. So far I liked it, it was good.
I literally haven't booted it up yet. I just downloaded it.
Yeah, I'm cheap. Gears of for the prologue, because that's not spoiling the new story, is it? The prologue is, am I right in saying it's almost like...
It's based on the events before the...
It's bringing you up to speed with the storyline, isn't it,
Yeah.
basically, but teaching you the controls and everything at the same time.
It does. It brings you up to speed with what's going on, but it doesn't show you stuff that's happened in the other series. It gives you a different perspective of the events at the same time.
Okay, so it doesn't spoil the games.
Before the Emergence Day?
It's leading up, basically it's the events leading up to Emergence Day, and
Which
then
was actually in one of the books that we read.
them getting the Hammer of Dawn back.
Bits of that. It'll be interesting to see how much of that they cover, because we haven't started that yet, have we? So, for the benefit of anyone listening, we've all got Gears of War 4 with the exception of our non-gamer. But we haven't started the story yet, so we're going to play that through together on the stream.
Yeah.
But we have done Horde, which obviously you haven't done yet. I've only played, so it was on my list of what I've done this week. I've done 2 or 3 hours, I think, on stream the other day. Literally one map, I've only seen one map. Did 46 of the 50 waves, and unfortunately suffered the usual Gears of War player dropout, which ended my chances of completing the 50 waves with Vicky when we were playing through that. So that was a little bit disappointing, but I love the game, absolutely loved it. For me, it's just Gears, classic Gears, and that's all I wanted. I think a lot of the reviews said that it was really paid homage to Gears. The story's apparently excellent as well.
They didn't need to change anything. The gameplay was already bang on.
There was no innovation needed for me. That game was brilliant. It is what it is. Gears is its own thing, and I'm really pleased that it looks good. So I love it, and I think you've played Carl more than I have.
Yeah, I've played a fair bit of Horde. Yeah, it's fun. It's good. It's obviously better if you're going to have a team with you that can communicate. There's one map where there's got like an incinerator in the middle and a button a bit further away. And I was playing it last night, and most people left, but we was on the boss wave. I think it was wave 40, and it's one of these bosses called the Snatcher, and it was small enough that you could get it in this incinerator. But could the guy understand what I was trying to tell him? He couldn't, so we just died over and over again, and I got bored and I left.
That is the problem with Horde mode when you're not playing with friends. But given that we've now got 4 people, that we can have at least a 4-man team, and we can maybe get a 5th randomer to sort of drop in and play along. And I think we got a good chance of cracking that 5th.
We need to get Chris an Xbox One, I reckon.
Would it be better to have a random person though, or would it be better to have Chris who's never played Gears of War in his life?
I'd say a random person.
I think a 5-year-old would probably be better. A random 5-year-old. Should have the game because...
No offence. Yeah, they shouldn't be.
A lot of blood in it.
It's very cool.
Yes.
I must admit I was really impressed with it. What I really enjoyed was it did make me feel like I was playing the first one again, even though I haven't played the story yet, and I know there wasn't Horde mode in the first one before anyone corrects me. It was the fact that everything that came at me was new. And because I haven't played the story and I haven't seen some of these creatures, when the boss waves are coming around, fortunately I was quite lucky and it hasn't spoiled much of the story for me. I think I only got, even though we did 4 boss waves, I only got 2 boss types. So I had this helicopter twice, and then I can't remember what the other creature was. It was some big creature that sucked you into its stomach, and then
that's the Snatcher.
The Snatcher. So I only played 2 bosses, so I haven't seen all the different sort of things I'm looking up against. Bosses. And I almost don't want to see any more than that. Like,
no,
I
well,
want to do
was
the story now.
Yeah. With Horde, you're going to get some of the bosses ruined for you.
Yeah, so
I had the helicopter and the Snatcher. I've had another one, but I won't say what it is. Pretty obvious. It's been a boss. It's just basically a different version of the boss from every other Gears game.
Okay. Well, I'll wait to see what that looks like then. Cool. Carl, what have you been up to since we last recorded?
I've been playing Hitman. I played a little bit of that on stream, although it came with a lot of technical difficulties. Played like the prologue, first couple of missions. Ejected a guy out of a jet to kill him, which was hilarious. I was dressed as an engineer, and I told him he's got to go through some pre-flight checks and he's got to check the ejector seat. But I managed to sort of fiddle it so it would actually go off when he tested it, which killed him. And everyone was there around and going, "Oh, what's happened?" And I just trundled off. It was hilarious. So yeah, I've been playing that. Horde mode, Overwatch. I've played that. The new Halloween update's just come out with a new brawl in it, which is basically a Horde mode for Overwatch. It's called Junkenstein.
You know Overwatch?
Yes.
Right, not having actually played it. Is that like Team Fortress, where you've got specific roles?
You have specific roles, but Team Fortress has got a lot more roles than what Overwatch has. Overwatch, you've basically got a healer, tank, and what they call DPS, damage per second. They mix and match a little bit.
But within the roles in Overwatch, each of the characters is quite complex and different to the other.
Yeah, they're completely
you could be
different.
a healer, but there's 4 different variations on more than that.
all have different abilities and whatnot. There's a new Halloween update come out for it, which is bringing out a load of new skins. The one thing I don't like about it is, obviously, you played Lucio Ball, didn't you?
No.
And you had it.
No, I got rid of it before that came out.
They had the Summer Games before, which was for the Olympics, and you've got a set number of dates or times that you can get these certain skins by the loot boxes that you get for leveling up, or you can buy loot boxes within the game. But they brought out like a special event for it, which was called Lucio Ball. It was basically like Rocket League, but with Lucio playing football, like a big ball, and you used Lucio to hit the ball into the goal. You had 3 versus 3. They brought a new one, which is basically a Horde mode. 4 characters you play as: Hanzo, Anna, McCree, and Soldier 76. And it's basically a Horde mode. You've got like it's on the new map as well that came out a couple of weeks ago. And it's basically Junkrat is this Junkenstein, and you've got Roadhog. He's this monster, and it's basically just wave based and they've got to blow up the door which gets into this castle.
Cool.
It's fun. It's hard, but it's fun. But again, you're playing it with randomers, so it can be quite difficult. I've done it on medium, not done it on hard yet.
Everything that I've heard about Overwatch suggests that it's at its best if you're playing with people you know.
Yes.
So that's most.
And that was the reason why eventually I got rid of it. Yeah, but I think there are things like Call of Duty you don't need to with your friends to enjoy that, and to be successful you can. I'm sure you'll talk about at some point.
I'd say that's the only one. You look at Halo, Battlefield, all them. If you haven't got a decent team, it's no fun to play really, because you just end up getting killed over and over and over again.
I think with those sort of first-person shooters, you can do okay, not as a team, because you haven't got to coordinate an attack. Like with Overwatch, you can coordinate an attack that brings people all into one bit, and then you can just like sort of explode them with another attack. So you can coordinate that way. With that, you can just be a sniper sitting up somewhere and just shoot.
I think with any of those games, you can probably enjoy them and you can still win and be on a winning team without coordinating. But again, I suppose
it's a lot more fun with.
Yeah, you're going to be more dominant and you're going to be much more impressive and score higher, I suppose. Yeah. If you've got a full blown team, but cool. And then TV. What
TV? Luke Cage. Binged that over a Friday night and Saturday morning. And I think I told you about it. It's good. I enjoyed it. It's funny. It's quirky. A lot of nods to
I don't think you have talked
the original.
About it. I don't want to know.
Well, no, I didn't give details. I just told you what I thought about it. I'd seen there like a ranking on IGN of some of the Netflix originals, Marvels, and I think they agreed with what I thought. I think it's not the best out of the two that have come before it. I think Daredevil and Jessica Jones are better than it. And I think the thing that lets it down is the bad guy. Because obviously you've got a really good bad guy in Jessica Jones as Kilgrave. He's very charismatic, funny. You've got obviously got Kingpin in Daredevil and Elektra to a certain extent.
And Punisher for half of
of course, the Punisher as well. And I think the bad guy.
He's getting a spin-off series as well.
Yeah.
Interesting to see what that's going to be like, but I'm slightly worried they're diluting these series because I must admit I've watched a bit of Jessica Jones, a couple more episodes. I'm nearing the end. It still hasn't caught my interest like Daredevil did. No. The reason it's taken me so long.
Well, I don't think it will because it's a character you don't know as well as what you know Daredevil.
Yeah, but it's interesting, but I just don't find the flow of the story is quite as good. And one thing I'm interested if you've watched it, I guess you haven't watched Jessica Jones, Adam.
No, I don't.
But what lets it down for me at points are, I don't feel like when she's in any kind of a fight that the way it's choreographed puts her across as being overly strong. It feels a little bit sort of 80s action sort of TV, or even before that, the old Batman, where you've got the old pow, and I wouldn't be surprised to see that coming up because there's points where she's hitting people or throwing people, and it just doesn't feel like she's got that power that they're trying to portray that she's got. And there's the odd bit in the fights where she does, and she'll put someone through a wall, and you go, wow, that's cool. But then she'll punch someone out, and it just doesn't look real, and it's taking me out of the action a bit. I don't really like the Jessica Jones character. I like the people around her. I like Kilgrave. I like Luke Cage. I thought he was cool.
Well, I think that's the point with Jessica Jones because of how she is. You're not meant to like her because she's just.
But I don't think it's her persona that I don't like. I think it's the fact that when she's doing these superhero things, where she's fighting people and she's punching people and she's doing whatever, it just doesn't feel real to me. It looks a bit. Yeah. Felt a bit fake. It's took me out of it a few times action-wise. Whereas Daredevil was always so well choreographed.
Yeah.
The fight scenes in that were brilliant, and you always felt like it was an intense fight. Whereas some of hers haven't felt.
I think Iron Fist is probably going to take it to another level.
I hope so. Yeah, I'm interested in that, but I feel like I've got some catching up to do before that comes out. Cool, but overall, you liked it.
Yes, it was very good. Very good.
Cool. Me personally, I think we touched on Gears of War, talked enough about that. I've done some more FIFA, so I can continue with that. I haven't got back into the journey yet. I've been sticking to Ultimate Team and just messing around with that. Again, I haven't put a huge amount of hours in. And then literally, I probably had 45 minutes today of PlayStation VR, so that turned up today. Well, it turned up yesterday, but I wasn't in to collect it, so the usual Amazon delivered it with a neighbour issue, but I picked that up, got it set up. There is an unboxing video on our YouTube channel if anyone wants to watch it, but so far first impressions are really good. I've read a lot about it, I think, in the week running up to its release. Mainly good. A couple of sort of negative comments about the motion control of the Wii, not the Wii, so the PlayStation Move controllers and how they've used those. But actually, having very quickly sampled it today, they seem pretty good to me. They're not perfect, but then I think everything about this experience, I'm kind of expecting it not to be perfect.
I think it was the range, wasn't it, with the Move controllers? Because you're meant to be able to kneel down and pick something off the floor. You can't actually do that with the Move controllers.
Yeah, I think then it comes down to whether the games are designed to do that. So I think one of the only ones that people have complained about is Job Simulator.
Yeah, there was one.
That's a port really which was built for a different headset.
There was Batman VR where you pick up a key.
Yeah.
If you drop that key, you can't actually pick it up. It teleports back onto his piano. I've seen a little gif of it.
So they've worked around that problem by moving it.
Yeah.
I mean, it was a real surreal feeling putting the headset on.
Did you find it gave you a headache at all? So all the
ones I wasn't in it for long enough to be honest, but all the current headsets shouldn't do in theory shouldn't do that now. So the ones that people are exposed to, and we all tried one of these out. I think even Chris, you had to go at this. The dev kit, Oculus Rift. I think it was only dev kit 1. We tried that out, and I think we all felt ill afterwards in some way. I had a horrible headache and felt really sick. But there isn't the reports of that in the same way of all the ones that have been released now.
I think there is a bit of motion sickness that you do get with it, but I think it gets better over time.
So you could argue a headache just with 3D glasses on?
This isn't 3D, that's a different thing altogether. The way 3D works on your eyes and your brain is a completely different trick. This is... The reason you get motion sick in VR is because your brain is interpreting movement your body isn't going through. So that's why it throws you out. So, which is different to 3D because you're not experiencing movement in that way. So the problem, what the game designers have had to do with VR, and I only know this because I've listened to lots of podcasts and watched lots of videos and stuff on it, is that they have to think about your physical movement in that virtual world. So there aren't many games at the moment where you move a lot, and if you do move, it's generally you're in something else. So you're not you're in a vehicle or something like that, because the body can cope with that concept better than it copes with the idea that, oh god, I'm walking forward but actually my legs aren't moving, and that throws your body out. Whereas if you're in a vehicle, you physically wouldn't be moving anyway, the vehicle moves around you, so your body can accept that. The couple of things I played, and it was really for a few minutes each, so I did a little shooting range in the Heist PlayStation VR World demo, and I did a brief Job Simulator mess around where I literally was sat in one spot. So I haven't done anything particularly vigorous yet. I've got Batman Arkham VR to play, so I'll have a go at that, and then I'm going to work through some of the demos before deciding what to drop some more money on, and I'll buy a couple of other games. Prices have really readjusted, by the way. From the last episode, I was quoting Amazon prices for games where they were like 20 quid up to £55. They're all now around the £25-30 mark, with the exception of I think one or two sort of AAAs, which are, I think Riggs is still 40 quid, but most of them have come out. Even Eagle Flight now is at £25 or £30. So I don't know whether that was just some sort of pre-release cock-up on the seller's part, but that's been fixed, so they're not that wildly different now. They're generally £25 on Amazon and £30 in the PlayStation Marketplace, which is just stupid.
There was a game that looked interesting. It was kind of Tetris-like. It was like you see the block.
Super Hypercube.
Is that what it's called?
Yeah, that's on my list. Yeah, so Super Hypercube is one of the ones that's been highly reviewed and rated, and it's basically a block that slowly grows, and you've got this free floating object, and you can look around. And initially, you don't have to. You're slotting it through a hole in a wall that's coming at you, basically.
Hole in the wall.
Yeah, basically. but then every time you go through a wall, an extra bit is added to your block, and it gradually gets more complex and bigger. And you've got to turn it. So in order to see the space that you're looking to put it through, you kind of have to look around this object. So that's supposed to be really good. And then some of the rhythm games. So there's one called Thumper. That's been really highly rated. Res has been well received, and I'm really looking forward to having a go on that again.
Is that the old Res?
Yeah, they've just put it into VR.
The floating man.
Yeah. Those things seem to be the things that most people are reviewing highly. The sort of slightly out there techno dream sequence style games seem to be doing really well. Batman's been well reviewed, although I think it's quite short.
I've actually not looked into it at all, so I'm quite interested to have a blast on yours when we finally get to have a go on it.
Yeah, you have to come and have a go on it by all means. It is really cool. Like, you put it on for the first time. I put it on Laura very briefly before I came out, and I said, have a go at this, and unfortunately Olivia was crying the whole way through. But I strapped her into it, and she thought it was quite. You could tell she was finding it enjoyable. She was moving around the room. The move controllers are going everywhere. She's trying to pick things up in the Job Simulator and put them around. So she instantly liked that, and I think I'm going to keep the sort of demos and things and try and find a few that are particularly good for showing to people, because I think it's important that someone who knows what they're talking about puts you on something interesting rather than put you into something that's going to make you sick. Or you need to be eased into it, I think, is the key. If you put someone straight in. Yeah, but well, there's one game on there. I think it's free with all the PSVRs. What's it called? PlayStation VR Room or something like that. I think it's called. But it's a bunch of mini games basically, where the people in the room with you, up to 4 players with control pads, can play a game with the person in the headset.
Yeah.
So the person in the headset takes on one role in the, whatever the game is. So they're in the headset playing along in the living room, and the 4 of you are around them on the sofa with your controllers, and you're doing whatever it is that you're meant to do. So I think there's one way, like the person in the headset's Godzilla, so you're kind of stamping through a little virtual city. They're low-res graphics, it's not sort of high-end, high-fidelity stuff. It's silly party games, but the other people in the room then are against the Godzilla character, like trying to get you, and stuff like that. So that looks really interesting. I'll give that a test out, and I'll probably talk more about it when I've had a chance to properly play through some of the stuff and maybe get some of you guys over and have a go. And it is really cool. There's just something about it when you're in there, you go, oh, this is different. I think even silly things like the menu system for the demo alone, it's just a scrolling menu, but you're in what looks like some sort of thing I'd expect to see in Tomb Raider, some sort of central hall of some relic of an old tomb or something. Yeah, a little bit like a crypt, and you're looking around, and the menu's there. You know, it's right in front of your face, but you can turn your head anywhere, and the building is still there, like rendered.
Yeah.
So you look down, there's the floor, and I said earlier on before we came on to record that. The games that render your PlayStation control pad in the game, in the VR space, is also just something really cool about it, because I've moved my arms up and the PlayStation pad is in front of my face. You obviously can't see it because you've got a mask on, but in VR space that control pad appears, and as you move it around it's moving in 3D space independent of your hands. It's just really clever. There's just something about it that's just different. I can't see me spending 20 hours knocking out a story mode in there or something, and I'm not sure I'd use the cinematic mode much other than for novelty factor.
I think you're getting comfortable after all, isn't it?
It's not uncomfortable at all, no, and that's the difference. The VR headset, I think, we all had that bloody mask, didn't we? The face mask and stuff, the imprint on our faces, and it was heavy. This doesn't, because the weight isn't distributed on in front of your face, it's not strapped to your face.
Yeah.
It's the headband actually distributes the weight evenly, and then the mask itself independently slides on a rail, so it doesn't apply any forward weight to your head. It sits neatly around the crown.
Yeah, a lot of
really
people
good.
who reviewed them have said it's one of the best comfortable.
Oh, yeah.
Out of all of them, it's the best.
Easily the most comfortable.
So has it got like earphones built in and things?
No earphones built in, so that it comes with little in-ear headphones, which actually I thought were going to be a bit naff. And in my video,
the reason why I ask is, if you had a gaming headset, can you use both? So
in theory, as long as it will go over the headset. So I haven't tried my Beats headphones out yet, but I did try even the ones they give you with it, just the little in-ear ones. I thought they were going to be crap, and they're probably cheap and cheerful little in-ear buds. But you put them in, and it encourages you to do so, and it says put them in for 3D sound, and you put them in, and it was enough. It blocks out enough that you can hear what's going around if you needed to.
Yeah.
But you're in this world. You're in it. You don't think about it, and obviously any noise that goes off. Yeah, any noise that goes off, like off behind you in the left, feels like it's there, and of course you can turn to look at it, and then that sound moves with you. It's really weird. So like if that noise is behind you as you turn, it isn't. It's in front of you. It's really cool. It's really
clever. What I'd love is like when Gran Turismo comes out or something like that, if they make it so that you can literally look around the car, look into the corners.
Well, they have already. There's a guy that I watch on Twitch.
Drive Club, that is though.
Well, this is with the PC. He does it with Dirt Rally, which I've got. He wears the headset and you can literally look around. I think
Gran Turismo GT Sport's going to have it.
Yeah, so that would be brilliant. That would be one reason.
Well, they say it's going to support VR, but at the moment there's a bit. We talked about this a bit last time, right? But for Adam's benefit, there's a real mix in terms of what you're going to get VR-wise. So some games, like Star Wars Battlefront, has got a VR experience that you will get if you own Battlefront, which is an X-Wing experience. It's not going to be a fully fledged game. It's going to be a mission that you do in VR in the X-Wing. So if you bought this Battlefront game, you're going to get this downloadable extra. Tomb Raider's got the same. Resident Evil 7 is going to be playable either on your TV or completely in normal VR. And you can flick between the two at a flick of a switch and just go back to your television and go back into the VR and whatever you want to do. So that game is completely interchangeable. And then GT Sport and a couple of other games like Ace Combat are talked about supporting VR, but it doesn't say how. It doesn't say like it's going to be.
So it could be like an Auto Vista like in Forza where you can just look around the car.
Yeah. Or it could be.
You can actually use it in the car.
There is a demo for Drive Club and I need to try it out. If GT Sport is fully playable in VR, I think we should club together and buy a wheel and we should just do it. I think that'd be hilarious. I think it'd be great to sit with a proper 4-3
Well, I want to get a wheel anyway, but I'll be for the Xbox because I've got go around on Xbox.
I think it'd be good to get that though, and to do the whole I'm in the car and VR. I think that's one of the best ways to use it.
If you get a Thrustmaster one, it works on both anyway, isn't it? They're not specific. Yeah, they're not console specific.
Oh, there you go. Maybe we could do that. But I think it'd be well worth doing. I think it's going to be a really interesting experience.
Yeah.
We've excluded Chris for far too long now.
That's educational.
Education, he's bored out of his mind. Right, okay, so let's move on to some of our talking points then, as Chris hasn't said anything for a while. Let's bring Chris in.
Sure.
Let's talk about, what do you want to do? Do you want to do TV? Or
I'll do TV first, yeah.
Yeah, not the Oasis stuff.
Why not? Oh, don't worry, I've got lengthy notes on that for you.
And we'll go to the toilet when that one comes up.
Sure.
Come on, not been a bad idea actually. I've got some chocolate in my bag, much through it.
So, the box set as such I finished this week was a show that was on BBC One called Our Girl, and brief synopsis for your benefit, which doesn't give any spoilers away. It was a 5-part drama based around the central character of a female medic who's in the army, and she goes to Somalia to help in the aid camps over there. The start of the story begins with a wedding that doesn't quite go to plan for this character, that has implications for the plot later on. By the time she then goes to Somalia, a few years have passed after the initial sort of intro scene, and she's now engaged to a different man. So events take a dramatic turn once she's out in Somalia, involving terrorists. Basically, you learn that the British aid workers, especially female, are a prime target for extremists. I'll have a confession to make at this point, which is that the sole reason I initially watched episode 1 was because the central character is played by Michelle Keegan.
I literally just realised what show this is.
Who, as you are aware of, is a bit of kind of a dream woman in my eyes anyway, and I think a lot of lads' eyes. However, I have to genuinely say that it didn't take long to completely forget that, and actually I got really into the story, because all jokes aside about how stunning she is looks-wise, she can actually really act. And so her character actually goes through quite a journey, to quite a bit of a cliche from actors, and while you don't always agree with what a character does or the decisions he makes, you relate to her the whole way through, and obviously her being the central character, that's quite important to you, piquing your interest and keeping your interest in the show itself and the plot. I have to say I wouldn't be surprised if Hollywood offers start coming away, because as well as being fitting the part in terms of physical appearance, she can really act, so I'll predict a future there for her.
Like Megan Fox.
Absolutely, completely unlike, completely unlike that. So, yeah, complete antithesis of her, really. So, overall, it's quite a layered series. The only slight criticism would be that there's a really clunky love triangle within the plot that felt a bit contrived. Didn't really like that. But the rest of the story was actually quite well written, well acted, and it was only 5 episodes, like 5 hours of your time. And
was the last thing that you watched that you reviewed, last podcast, that was a 5-episode one as well, wasn't it?
It was, yeah. It's becoming a trend. Yeah. I'm currently watching Mad Men, which is 7 seasons, so it's not something that I only restrict myself to 5 episodes. But no, it was a good show. I'd recommend it. It's on iPlayer.
Because I didn't. So things like Lost, for example.
Yeah.
Which obviously a lot of people watched. Some people won't have, like me. I missed the first few seasons of that, a couple of seasons, and then everyone talks about it. It becomes this thing to watch. Mm-hmm. You will want to catch up on Lost. It is 24 episodes a season for the first 3 seasons, and then it goes down a bit. Season 1 was great, and I enjoyed that. And as soon as I got into season 2, I just lost interest. I thought I've got to go through another 24 episodes of this to get to season 3, and then I've got another 24 episodes, and I couldn't be bothered. I hadn't got. For me, my personal lifestyle does not allow that much TV watching, so I have to pick and choose in the same way I pick and choose my games.
Yeah.
So I like the idea of something
5
short
parts,
and sort of easier to watch.
Interestingly, we lost halfway through that. That's when that writer's strike. You remember the writer's strike from a few years ago?
Yeah, that affected a few different TV series, didn't it?
Just completely changed what Lost was going to be in the end. It just got a bit weird.
Yeah, that's what I expect. Season 3 of Lost, I just got a bit bored then when it just started going a bit weird and loopy. I was like, no.
So I get my best enjoyment out of TV if I can just binge it over a weekend. So I did that with Luke Cage, I did that with Jessica Jones, Daredevil. And I've just started watching something that you probably like as well, because we've just got Amazon Prime. Lucifer. It's hilarious. Brilliant. Okay. It's about basically Lucifer, he's the devil. Yeah. He decides he doesn't want to be in hell anymore, and he comes in and he's on Earth. It's like a vacation he's taking, and it's just funny. I've only watched 4 episodes. I've watched one just before we came in. It's fairly new. I think it's just the second season. It's just started.
You got Amazon Prime, haven't you?
No, I don't.
Okay.
No, got everything but really Netflix and
Still can
Sky.
share a login.
Yeah.
You should watch Bosch. It's quite good. It's a bit different. It's
Well,
a murder mystery thing, but
I've got plenty of things.
based on a book. Really good. Really good. It's only 10 episodes. Really enjoyed that. And then I think Constantine, if you've never watched that
That got cancelled.
it did after season 1, but season 1's still decent.
Yeah.
And it was a good watch.
From
I
Amazon, I
quite
love
liked
that
it.
to watch.
Good characters.
When I watched that Lucifer, I watched that Man in the High Castle, which I think
That's
you've
really
watched.
good. Yeah, I enjoyed that. Very good. Season
there's-
2 was teased ages ago, but no date.
Yeah.
Is that the one that's
Mr.
if
Robot.
Germany won the war?
Yes.
Type
Yeah,
thing?
so
Yeah.
so basically, so Germany and Japan have taken over the world, basically.
They rewrite history, don't they?
Well, it doesn't. No, you don't know what it is, so they don't. I don't want to spoil anything, but
Okay.
they don't actually. The end of season 1 doesn't tell you anything. It doesn't really clear anything up, other than the fact that there seem to be the plot hinges around the idea that there's these sort of film reels that seem to be surfacing,
that's it.
which show an alternative.
Yeah, Germany
Obviously,
don't win, do they?
What happened? The real world, what happened? What actually happened in real life? And there's no one's quite sure where these reels come from, and they don't really tell you. So it's a great thing to watch, and I'm sure season 2 will be good. And it's got lots of good things about it anyway, but they don't tell you by the end of season 1 what anything's about. So you'll still know clearer by the time you've watched the 10 episodes. But it's a good watch. It's really interesting, and the characters are really interesting, and you might like the lead female role in it. She's good again. Pretty, but a good actress as well. Welcome to Pervcast.
Yeah.
I got Mr. Robot and Preacher. I want to watch
I
it.
started Mr. Robot, got about 4 episodes in, guessed the twist, and then was like, no, I'm done now.
Oh, really?
Yeah. It's not particularly difficult to guess.
No, I'm sure.
And I found it quite awkward to watch, which is why I then turned off, because I wasn't interested in watching. It's meant to be awkward. The characters are awkward. It's meant to be uncomfortable viewing because the guy's a bit messed up, but it just.
It's about well, I don't really.
It's about
really
hackers
don't, yeah,
and
it's about
computer,
hackers.
sort of.
There was a manga that I read, which is about like a hacker guy. It kind of reminds me of that, which is why I wanted to watch it.
Would you give it a score out of 5 for first?
Yeah, I'd go 4.
Again.
I was debating.
Do you know
I was
how to
debating.
do it?
I was debating 3.
If it's 4, it's 4.
How many stars would you give Michelle Keegan?
6.
You gave her the one you saved for the TV series. Cool. So all in all, they're good. Worth
Very
watching.
good. I think so. It's only 5 hours as well. So.
Yeah.
And I've announced
Only 5
another
hours.
series on the back of it, so it's
Yeah.
commercially seems to have been a success in terms of ratings and things like that.
I was going to ask you, is it prime for a sequel? Does it leave yourself open to that? Or
I didn't think it necessarily is with the main character, but I think it's sheerly on the ratings alone they've sort of commissioned it, so it doesn't feel like they've left it deliberately open for another series. It's just, I think it's more the ratings have dictated it needs another.
slightly, it's still TV and sequel based, but slight topic. 24 Legacy is in production.
Yeah.
Have you seen the latest announcement about who's returning to 24 Legacy?
No.
No.
It's not going to be Jack Bauer's wife, surely.
Is that based on the 24 series?
Yeah. No Jack Bauer, no Kiefer Sutherland, but Tony Almeida.
Oh, really?
No.
He's returning.
Well, he returned already as a bad guy that wasn't a bad guy in the end. I haven't watched the last season.
The last
The
season was good.
It was only
I
half.
didn't
It was really 24. It was
Yeah,
really
it was
close.
Don't tell me too much.
Yeah,
I'm only on
but,
season 4.
I haven't found anywhere to watch it.
No, you don't. Well, Tony Almeida, I think he's done dusted by season 4, isn't it?
No, he's just come back in charge of. Who's it 3? Just come back in charge of.
He hasn't left.
Well, he was meant to have died,
He'll
wasn't
leave at
he?
some point.
And then he come back and he was a bad guy. I think it was like the 6th or 5th
Oh yeah,
season or
I
something.
think they've just killed him.
But he was
Because
undercover
you
or
knew about
something.
the Jack
Yeah.
Bauer cover up,
He ended.
and they've blown
But
him.
you don't see him for a few seasons yet. But anyway, you can't really ask for no spoilers for something that's been out for like 15 years now. However it is. You
Well,
can't
just,
immerse
that's
the
what I mean
internet
about
there,
TV.
mate.
I only just started to watch
Yeah.
that.
No, you're
Walking
24
Dead, I'm only on
brilliant.
season 3.
I'm still on episode 3 of season 1, so
I was more gutted that they killed the black president because I thought he was awesome. He was like the
Don't
best
tell
president
him
ever.
more.
I'm sure that happened for you. That's happened for you already, isn't it?
That was like the second season. Or
Yeah, that was,
So,
that
what
was
season you on?
Oh yeah, no, they've just got they've just the one I've just watched. He's just helped the new president sort out the bomb.
Is
A
his
bomb
wife
threat.
back in it
I
yet?
think that was the end of 3.
Let's just not say anything more about 24
Yeah.
in case we spoil it for Adam.
Yeah.
Just don't look at the internet because it's all kind of there. Okay.
And you literally just said you don't watch TV.
That's what I mean. I watch it very slowly, like one episode a month.
to distract Adam from 24. How about we talk about one of your topics then? Take a
Right.
pick.
Well, we'll start with pro gaming pads then. Basically, I've been looking at them for a while, thinking I'm in an iron about whether to buy one or not. And recently they've come down in price quite a bit. Now I know the third party company ones have always been quite expensive, like the scuff pads and things of that nature have always been, for the high end ones, around £250, which I think for a pad is a bit ridiculous because it's the price of pretty much the console. But since Microsoft brought out their new one, which I think originally came in, was it £150 when it got released?
£30.
I think it was a bit more when it got released, wasn't it?
No, I don't remember.
Since that came out, obviously all the third parties had to start bringing their stuff down because obviously the price comparison. And from what I can tell, the Microsoft one actually seems to be the better pad out of all of them, and as it's only £109 now, I was thinking maybe picking it up.
So, I mean, this is going to sound a really stupid thing to say because I own the Elite pad. I bought it because
that's what I was just going to ask you that, because I know you've got one.
I bought it because I like the idea and the feel of a premium pad. If I'm honest, it's not. I don't use it for what it's designed for. I use it because it feels nice and it's got a bit of extra weight to it. And it feels a little bit more grown up than the normal pads. That's the only reason I bought it. But I was going to ask you, as having given that I own one, what is the point? I know you've got the paddles and stuff on the back. So what does it give you? What's the benefit?
It's the whole thing of time on target, whether in real life or playing a computer game. The longer you can look at your target without taking your crosshair off it, the more chance you've got of killing it. So if you're having to reload by pressing another button, taking your right thumb off the right analog stick, having to jump by pressing another button, that's all time that you can't move your crosshair around on the screen that somebody else possibly can. So the whole idea is they have mappable back buttons that you can set up to be any of the actual main face buttons on the pad.
Which I did last night.
Which then allows you to jump or reload without having to take your finger off the thumbstick. So therefore you can do multiple things while still gunning and shooting at somebody.
Okay, interesting.
So that's the whole benefit behind them.
That's kind of why I bought mine, because when I use Genji's Ultimate on Overwatch, you have to jump around a lot, so you're a lot harder to hit. But having to use the right trigger to use your sword and jump at the same time is really weird. So I'm going to use the one of the back paddles for the jump, so I can use the right trigger at the same time, a lot easier.
That's the whole idea behind it. Also as well, I'm quite interested in the different customization options that comes with it. So like the different size thumbsticks, because obviously the longer the thumbstick, the more accurate you can be. Mm. So especially when it comes down to aiming and stuff, being able to just make little adjustments rather than sort of...
You can actually set the sensitivity on them as well.
Yeah.
There's like different peaks and stuff. I went through it all last night.
And I can't remember, does it have a hair trigger as well on the back?
No.
Stopper?
Yes.
Yeah, so...
There's only two settings of that though.
Yeah.
Like the full or the half.
So I mean, for shooting games, obviously, not having to press it all the way down reduces your time.
You can literally adjust the sensitivity on those as well.
So for things like that, yeah. I mean, I did have a little look online to see if I could find any sort of stats to go with it with these, because I know a lot of professional games now, these gaming teams that are out doing all like the Major League Gaming stuff. If you go on the Scuff website, you can actually buy their pads that they use and how they have them customised, all the specific details on their pads, their logos, that sort of stuff. And I did have a look to see if I could find any stats on these teams using them and whether they do actually make a difference, which I couldn't find any at all. So what I was going to suggest is when I do get one, after I've got used to it, as James mentioned, we were talking about this earlier, and James mentioned it might take me a bit of time to get used to where all the buttons are, is do 5 hours playing normally with my normal pad, and then switch over and do 5 hours playing with the extra buttons and see if it does actually make an improvement at all to my stats, to see if they are actually worth the money.
Well, I would do that with Overwatch as well, because I used the Elite pad to play Gears yesterday, but I haven't played enough Gears to know the difference.
I don't think it's going to offer you a great deal with Gears, to be honest, because most of Gears is on the shoulder anyway.
Yeah.
The only things you need are, other than changing weapons, maybe changing weapons would be useful, because that's the only time you've got to come off to the D-pad, isn't it?
Yeah.
But that's
maybe the active reload as well, because sometimes using the right bumper, you don't realise it quick enough, and it'd probably be quicker to do that than... I don't know. Absolutely.
Also as well, I play a lot of these sort of old school games with my little one, these like Sonic games and things from the old Mega Drive, and to have a proper D-pad would be nice to have, rather than the one that comes with it, to have like a circular D-pad where you can actually use the diagonal buttons.
It'd be a lot easier for Street Fighter.
The circular D-pad is quite cool. I have that on mine. But if I went to any reason I put it on mine, is because it looks different to the other pads. Yeah. It makes me feel like I'm using something different.
So yes, basically my question is, are they worth their money?
Well, the Elite, I mean, the pads themselves that you buy for the Xbox, they're 40 quid a pop anyway, brand new. So you're going to buy two and you bought the Elite pretty much anyway. That's how I thought about it.
I don't throw mine at the wall though when I get angry, Carl.
Well, if it's £110, I'm not going to throw it at the wall either.
I don't believe you. I do. Have you? It's not the same as Pro pads, but have you seen the Microsoft's customizable pads you can do now?
Yeah, the different colours and
that's quite
I
cool.
don't think they're out yet though, are they?
Yeah,
You can order them. Yeah.
You can order them now.
I think
They work out about 80 quid though. So
Amazon, I think, have already got some on there, haven't they? But they're pre-customised ones.
Yeah,
That
you need
would
to
come
Microsoft
certain
the store if you want to do it.
Yeah.
It's a bit limited. I had a look. There's a very limited palette of colours and options you can do to customise.
Really?
It's not as wide as they. I mean, they probably are. They've probably done the math to work out exactly how many different combinations there are, but it's not as. There's some things you'd never choose, and there's some sort of combinations you're never going to use. So it's almost a bit of a misseller. Really.
Basically, Microsoft are cashing in on all these third parties and realise, they're making a hell of a lot of money now.
Yeah, I have seen in the past. I can't remember what I was watching now. I watched a YouTube video once of a guy talking about. He got so instead of buying a specific pad to make your to have a specific Elite pad or a Pro pad, he bought a wraparound for an existing pad. I don't know if you've seen these.
Yeah.
It's like a silicone mould, which basically has these huge arms that go around the controller to create paddles on the back, which effectively when you push them just triggers the button on the front of the pad.
What was the company
really
that made
odd.
them? Well, so it wasn't Logitech, was it?
There's a couple of companies that do them, but apparently they're not that bad, and they're about 20 quid instead of
all these arms.
All
these arms.
They look ridiculous, though. They do look like something as weird has happened to your controller. It looks like something's
The cheap alternative to actually buying the paddles on the back.
Yeah, but it's I suppose it depends on what you've got cash wise, doesn't it?
I was looking at the Scuff ones because a few of the Scuff customization options are quite good. Like you can have different coatings on the back to make them sticky. You can literally change the colour to whatever you want. There's loads of different colour settings on there. But the only thing with the Scuff pads is they use magnets to retract the buttons. So you have to pay extra to have the ability to change the buttons on the back. It doesn't come as part of it, and it's quite fiddly to do with magnets. You have to use magnets to move connections around to realign the buttons. Where obviously with the Microsoft one, it's got an app on the screen.
It's all software driven.
And you can just tell it what to do. So that was another reason why I'm going to go down the Microsoft route.
They are a little bit magnetic on the back when you put them.
I know when they snap off, but these ones are the Scuff ones. It comes with like a little magnetic device that you pop into positions on the back and tell it. And I'm not sure exactly how it works.
Change the circuit board or something.
That sounds like you're soldering the thing.
Yeah, it does, doesn't it?
And I don't know if you hold the A button down and put the magnet and then it tracks it that way, or what. But you use a magnet.
That doesn't seem very accurate to me. That doesn't.
No.
A bit weird.
Give the Elite one a go. I think we've both got them. We like them, don't we, for different reasons. I probably should put the paddles back in, but
to let us know what they think of them and whether they're worth.
Yeah, be interesting. Well, if anyone's got one, they can let us know. We'll give details about that at the end of the podcast. Chris, you've again been isolated by conversations about gaming.
It's quite alright.
Shall we come back to you a little bit later on then? Shall we continue with another? I've got a topic which loosely talks about movies, but it's gaming related. Shall we go there?
Yeah.
Okay, so Gears of War 4 is out now. We've talked about it already a lot, but at the same time as announcing the game and releasing it and all the fun stuff that's come with it, they've again announced that they're going to try the movie. So I did read about it a little bit, and it was interesting to find out that we all know, I think those who follow the game, that there was a movie attempted. I think 2008 was their first start of the journey of looking into making a movie, and it kind of went away. There was different directors attached to it. It never quite happened. But they're now trying again. We have absolutely no other details other than the fact that they are making a movie. But I thought it'd be interesting just to have a think about how you would like to see that done, for those of you that play it, and how you might cast that film maybe a suitable director that you think might do a good job on it, and what you think that film could be, because they've not said whether it's based on the Gears of 4 universe with the new characters, or whether it's going to be based on the old characters and retelling the stories we've played in the games. So I just thought it'd be interesting to have a think about that. I sent Chris a link to IGN's Gears of War in 5 minutes ish. I think it is. It's about 6 minutes actually, I think, isn't it? To give you a feel for the story. It doesn't tell you everything that you need to know to have an active conversation in this, but I just thought it'd be interesting to see who you might cast. Who would you put in the roles of? If let's assume it was Gears, the original universe, the characters we played already. So Marcus, Dom, Baird, Cole, and the like. How would you cast that? Who would you cast?
Me, I would have it animated, and I'd keep the voices the same, I'd go Advent Children on it, and I'd have it animated.
No.
That's how I do.
I have to say,
I do in Metal Gear as well.
there's a part of me that agrees with you on that because I know we talked about this briefly before we started recording, so I'll say it again. Metal Gear Solid 5 and Ground Zero to me, it's not Solid Snake or Liquid Soul or Big Boss, whichever character it we're playing as, but it's not the character I've grown to love through all the game series because they changed his voice and they cast Kiefer Sutherland.
What if...
Utterly pointless, it didn't make any sense to me.
What if they don't go down the route of following any Gears of War characters and they just set it in the universe with a whole new set of characters
that would be
that you could relate to?
If they had a good story to tell.
Because then you've got new people that you don't know about, so you've got no connection to these people, you don't know their backstories, so then you're setting up a whole new...
Yeah. I mean, I think movie adaptations of games is well trodden, isn't it? Everyone's talked about it to death. Generally speaking, doesn't work that well.
Street Fighter,
and
Doom.
A lot of people talk about the reasons for that being that you in a game can tell a longer story and whose perspective you're playing from and all this sort of stuff. But I do agree. I think with what Carl's saying, I think what you're basically saying is you don't want to hear somebody else playing the role of Marcus Phoenix because to you, Marcus Phoenix has a voice and a face. You've attached a character to him and you don't want to hear somebody else take it on.
Yeah, effectively.
Yeah, and I'd completely agree with that. But so I think, I'd be interested in that as a compromise, and I think you could base it around Emergent State and all that.
Yeah, just from a different point of view.
I think it'd have to be Emergent State, wouldn't it? So if someone's going to see who's never played the game, they're going to do it about that sort. They're going to give you the backstory, not just go, "Oh, we're fighting these locusts."
Well, they didn't in the first game, though. I mean, the first game gives you like the flashback, tells you the story through the movie. You could do that. You could do that. But it'd be interesting because I guess with the first 3 Gears games, Forgetting Judgment, you see a story through, and those main characters pretty much change the tide of that war.
Yeah.
And they win the war, and they win it all at the end. They defeat the enemy and whatever else. So I don't know how you tell that story with any kind of gravitas, I suppose, or any weight to it, if you're not telling it from the point of view of the main characters who everybody else who loves that franchise knows saved the day. So if you did do what AJ mentioned and have an original cast, how would that work? Because what can they achieve that's going to be on the scale of what you've already achieved playing through the games?
But you've got to remember it's going to be aimed at a lot of people that don't necessarily play games like Chris.
They will, yeah. I mean, obviously they want to widen the audience, but they
could be. I mean,
they're doing it for fans. It's a lip service to fans.
As you know, in any war, there's lots of different fronts being fought. There's lots of other things going on outside of the main story that we've had, which is just Dom's side. Yeah, you've ultimately got the same ending, but how they get to there, there's a lot of scope for stories that you could put in there.
Okay. So I like that idea. I'm completely agree with you. I like that idea, but let's assume we are going to recast the characters to give Chris something to say. Who would you actually cast?
Cole, I think we'd have to have Terry Crews.
Terry Crews. Yeah. Well, you say that, but the guy who voices Cole is probably one of the few characters who actually looks like his character.
Yeah.
So have you ever seen you've seen this, I've sent you this thing before. Do you remember terrible Terry Tate, Office linebacker?
Yeah.
The Reebok shorts. That guy is the guy who voices Cole, who's the really big muscular black fella.
Yeah.
In the game things you've seen, he's the sort of loud, fun guy. Yeah, got the big chance. So he kind of looks a lot like that anyway. And how old he looks now, I don't know. It's been like 10 years or whatever.
That looks fairly old in
I just think with Terry Crews, he's funny, he's loud, he's
Black don't crack.
He's big.
I do think Terry Crews would be good, but given that this guy is the voice of Cole and looks like Cole, he could be an obvious choice. But I think the one that would worry me the most would be Marcus and Dom, which are the main 2 characters.
Yeah.
I'd be interested, before anybody else says anything else, you watched a very short video.
Yeah.
And you've very briefly seen these giant muscular men in armour.
Yes.
How would you cast them?
So,
what are your thoughts?
Without having an in-depth knowledge and purely going on that 5.5-minute trailer, the main guy who you sort of see at the end of the video, sort of now living with his girlfriend, I sort of refer to it as
Marcus.
Is it a
main
Marcus?
character, Marcus.
He looks in the game on the images I saw in that video that he's like obviously quite muscular and quite big and quite dominant character, but he also looked like he's lived quite a life in terms of looking wary. So yeah, classic Hollywood pretty boy wouldn't work at all.
Okay.
So on that basis, and I'm conscious he's just about to be the biggest villain of all time, but Josh Brolin was the first person that came into my head as someone who's quite got the physique of being
Josh
quite
Brolin.
big.
Oh, the girl from the Goonies.
Oh my god.
Yeah, you're right. Yeah, Josh Brolin was in the Goonies.
Oh,
he was
was
the
it?
older
He's going to
brother.
play Thanos.
Thanos, yeah.
Yeah.
That's one thing.
Yeah,
Sorry,
yeah,
because he's got the
he was in the
physique
Goonies.
and he looks like he could. I think you could make him look like he's him.
Anybody's got the physique that the Gears people would have.
I think the other person is The Rock.
They'll have to.
So yeah, sort of
As an
going,
actor.
Yeah.
sort of going extreme like The Rock or Schwarzenegger back in his day, or people of that nature.
Yeah.
No one's gonna
Actually,
have.
think about it. The Rock would probably be the choice they'd go with for the
Yeah,
for the
I'd say
ethnic
for
option to
yeah.
play Cole.
Yeah.
They probably would dump The Rock into that role
Yeah.
because even though he's not the sort of true ethnicity of the Cole character, he would tick that box with Dan.
I think he
got
could
that
play
build.
Marcus myself.
Oh, I don't know. He's too pretty for that, though, isn't he? Like,
Well,
you
yeah,
were
but
saying,
that can gruff him up.
Marcus,
He doesn't have to be
Marcus
that
is like
pretty.
well dragged through. He's miserable. I think The Rock's got too much charisma to play a bloke who's that miserable. Because Marcus, at no point during those games is he particularly cheery. Everything's miserable.
no.
Everything's a struggle. Everything's a chore. You know. I like that Josh Brolin idea. Actually, he's got the face for it. He's not anywhere near built enough, but then I don't think anyone will be. They're going to have to scale that back and be realistic because they've done that a bit in the new game. Actually,
Yeah,
if you look, the stills of the 3 new characters, they're nowhere near as beefy as the originals. But the roids or whatever they used to get that big. Did you pick up any of the characters in the trailer that you thought?
I didn't really. That was the main character I sort
He's the
of
main
remembered most from having watched it once.
What about you're into your directors? You've probably been more this than I do. Who would you attach?
See,
to
from a
something like
director point of view, I think you'd have to go young because I think you want to capture a director that's of the generation that might have played it. So without knowing at all if this director he probably hasn't, never played a video game himself, but the one that popped into my head first was Colin Trevorrow, the one that did the recent Jurassic Park film, Jurassic World.
Okay.
Because he's 40 years old. I suspect because of how passionate he was into Jurassic Park, he might be of the sort of genre that he likes his gaming as well. And if he did, I think he'd be quite a good choice.
He's certainly got a good. Well, that film demonstrated he knows. Well, he's worked with good CGI as well, which you're going to need for a Gears game.
And he was a massive Jurassic Park nut, wasn't he? And he did a good job even with that.
So
you've got to create believable monsters in that, which is that locust will not be easy to do in a movie.
That could bring a lot of the game directors, the game dead people in for that, couldn't it? Because a lot of them.
I mean that's for the design and stuff, but you've got to bring them to life. I mean, we've seen. We talked about this again last episode of the new Turtles movie, and the fact that the CGI on that was really poor and actually took me out of the experience the whole way through.
Yeah.
I would hate to start watching Gears and then have them shooting and battling the locusts or whatever else, and for it to look really naff.
Yeah.
I'd almost like them to use physical costumes, a bit more like what they do with Star Wars. Animatronics, proper costumes.
Yeah.
Because it's more believable. The new Star Wars, the characters look far better.
Yeah.
And whenever a CGI one wobbles into frame, you go, it doesn't look right.
The old Star Wars.
Yeah. Well, yeah, but the new one, they used a lot of the original techniques in there. That was what made that look the way it did, and look so good. Anyone else got any thoughts around Gears as a movie?
I don't know, maybe Stallone. To see Stallone, maybe.
As bad?
Yeah, just because he's the only person I think of who's big, who's gruff, who's sort of old and.
There was
They're
like an
younger than
admiral,
Mark,
wasn't
isn't
there? I think Stallone could play like the admiral guy that was in it, but I don't think he'd have a major part.
I'm not thinking of bad.
Oh, Hoffman, you mean?
I was thinking of the guy that drives the truck with the hat.
Oh God, he's more like a country bumpkin, isn't he?
Yeah, but I can see.
What is his name?
That sort of role.
I think you're going to see some unknown people come in
Yeah.
and play. I think they're going to get cast and you're going to be some.
I prefer that.
Yeah,
Because I like as much as I like to have the rocking things and stuff like that. You're watching a film with the rocking. You're not watching the characters that you're meant to watch.
Yeah.
And that's not necessarily a bad thing because he's good in the stuff that he does, generally speaking. But I'm a bit weird about the Jumanji reboot. I'm not sure about
he's the highest paid actor in the world now, though, as well. So that's a problem as well from a budget point of view.
And it doesn't need him. It's not a film that needs him. But I think it would be nice to see some newbies cast. But equally, if you've got to go down that route, I was just curious what your thoughts were. If there was anyone that jumped out at you as a character.
Talking about these things, have you seen the Halo movie Reach that they did?
No.
Which is an hour long. It's on Netflix. That's literally
I saw Halo Into Darkness, or whatever it's called, which is
that was on YouTube.
4 or 5 part series. It's on one of the streaming services now as well.
Yeah, I started watching it.
I don't know, I never saw the Reach one.
I think it was Reach, where they start off and they like recruits
I don't think it was called Reach. I think it was released at the same time as Reach. There was 2 different series.
Yeah, the Recruits one. I think that was that Into Darkness one.
I think that was Into Darkness.
Yeah, I mean they could do it like that, which was literally just, there was no named people in that at all, really.
Yeah.
And that
looked really beamy. It was good, but it was very beamy.
A lot of it was fan made as well.
Yeah, what I mean is though that was sort of, he was watchable and good to watch, but there was no, you didn't need named actors in it because the story was good.
I would prefer them to throw the money that they would spend on a named actor at the props, the effects, the CGI, and make it look believable. I also wonder if they'll do a single movie, or no one makes a single movie anymore, do they? Everyone makes a movie now with at least 3 in mind. But I think it would need that to tell the story properly. But the worry for me would be they'd do the first one, it wouldn't do that well, and you'd never see it again.
Yeah.
That would be hugely frustrating. And like Metal Gear Solid, how many times has that been greenlit?
Well, that never happened now anyway.
And that's something I would love to see, but
it would never happen. But I just think James Cameron could do it really well. If you go back to Avatar and stuff, it obviously never happened.
We're talking about Metal Gear or Gear now?
No, Metal Gear. Gears of War. Yeah.
Yeah, again, I don't think you get him because he's got 5 Avatar movies to make, so
yeah, well,
you're definitely not getting him.
He'd never do it anyway.
As long as they don't do it in 3D. I hate 3D.
I think 3D.
I don't see the point in 3D films anymore. In fact, I haven't seen. We've said this before. I haven't seen the point in 3D films since Avatar.
No.
Avatar was great, and other than that, I've not watched one and gone, ooh, that desperately needed the 3D.
The only other one was, for me, was Jungle Book this year.
I've not seen that yet.
The other one that he did, who did Avatar, where it was the cave diving.
We saw that. Yeah, that was good. That was a little known movie. That wasn't. That was really good. But that was he used that as a test. I think, if I'm right, for the Avatar technology.
That was brilliant. That was in terms of the actual effects.
Yeah, that was a good movie. Cool. That was my bit on Gears of War. So I'm just interested what your thoughts were. Chris, did you want to pick up on? Should we do Chris's movie review?
If you'd like to.
Chris has been to the cinema and seen at least one movie. But what was it? And what did he think of it? This is Chris's movie review.
The first one, I've got detailed notes. You'll be thrilled
Chris,
to know about
before
this.
you start, just remember, don't look back in anger.
Is that a joke?
It is.
Yes. Okay. So the first movie, for your pleasure, I've got to review is Supersonic, which is a documentary on the film. On the band Oasis, who, as you know, I love. I know you guys don't. So, brief synopsis: it captures the start of the band through from 1993, when they were unsigned and unknown, through to 3 years later when they played some historic shows in Nebworth in 1996. So it's a combination of archive footage plus extensive interviews with Noel and Liam, separately as they're not on speaking terms, plus their mum, brother, other members of the band, and those closely involved, things like sound technicians, record label representatives, etc. As you know, I'm a massive fan. I self-taught guitar playing on the basis of loving their songs so much. So yeah, that's why I only play 4 chords, because Oasis songs only have 4 chords.
They're the best band in the world.
Let's not get into that. Anyway, so there's a really interesting story within the film for me. There's a subplot really on Peggy, who's Noel and Liam's mom, and the backstory to basically she left her abusive husband and moved the 3 of them on her own, and basically worked 3 jobs to fund the life of the 3 sons in a council house in Manchester on a council estate. You learn in the latter days that actually Noel used to get regular beatings sort of from sticking up for his mum because he was the middle child and a bit more outspoken than his older brother, and his one solace after getting a beating would be to go and play this old battered guitar in his room. And part of the reason I think why he was so into his music at that particular time was because it was his one retreat from quite a horrible sort of lifestyle really at the time. Against the backdrop of very limited opportunities for the working classes at the time, in the sort of Thatcher era, music was the one way out for a lot of working class kids. So Liam formed a band while Noel was actually off touring as a roadie for another band. When he returned, Noel saw them, he was asked to join the band, and he pretty much then took over as main guitarist and songwriter, etc. They blagged themselves onto a set list in Glasgow, and during that show were discovered by the head of a record label. The debut album went on to be the fastest selling in history and smashed all manner of records. Then in 1996 they played what were the biggest shows in UK music history at Nebworth, which were to an audience of 250,000 over 2 nights. But one of the famous facts about it is over 1 million people actually applied for tickets in the UK, which is over 4% of the population at the time. So sort of puts into perspective the scale of how big they were at that particular time. And for 2 brothers from a council estate to go on to break history and identify so many of the population was quite an uplifting story when you watch it, particularly as a fan of the band, obviously. So the film captures the honest accounts of the time where they went over the top with quotes to the media, which is partly why some people, potentially yourselves, don't like them, so they're a bit of a Marmite band. What it does capture is how genuinely funny the 2 of them are, Noel in a sort of more educated and articulate way, but both of them are sort of laugh out loud with the way they sort of recall some of the stories at the time. And for me as a fan, it really perfectly captures the joy that they bring to fans like myself. But being separating myself from the equation, it genuinely, as a documentary, and several reviews I've read after watching it myself have backed this up. Even for non-fans of the band, it is actually a really watchable film. Mark Commode, the famous film critic, saw a video.
Was this when it was out in the cinema? Or was this
it was out in the cinema for a limited time. So it was out for about a week.
So is it available now?
It is going to be available to download on the 31st of October in whatever form you want in terms of digital.
I bet it was that film that stopped me from going to see The Girl with Gifts.
I was going to say, I actually read some trash paper or something, and it was about the premiere, and someone interviewed Liam.
Yes.
Because Noel decided not to turn up to the premiere or something. He didn't go to any of the premieres.
So that's kind of right. So they're not on speaking terms. So Liam was always due to be part of this Q&A at the premiere, which I saw on a live web stream in the cinema. But not the reality is Noel was never going to go to that when Liam was going to that.
So did Liam make some sort of remark about the fact that if he does well, I'm sure Noel will suddenly come out of the woodwork or something like that. He's tried to bait. He's tried to bait him in public about it. Yeah.
Why can't they just get along?
Yeah. Well, it's one of those things. But genuinely, Mark Commode, the film critic, admitted to not really particularly being a fan of the band, and I saw a video review he posted this week, and he admitted it's a really, really good. Really good documentary, even as a non-fan. So, but for me, obviously, it was.
I don't think we even need to ask you how many stars you give this to.
5.
Right.
Yeah.
It's one less than Michelle Keegan got though.
That's true, yeah. So
there are levels.
Michelle Keegan more than Oasis.
If Michelle Keegan asked me to stop listening to Oasis, but she'd marry me, maybe I'll never talk about Oasis again. I've got a much shorter film review as well now for Girl on the Train, which, as you probably already know, is based on a best-selling book. Stars Emily Blunt. Oh, right, okay.
Before he does this, does anyone know about this?
Yes.
I learned a little bit about it.
So
it's kind of very similar to Gone Girl, but it got slated to.
I have
5.6 on IGN.
Believe it or not, I have actually read the first chapter of this book because when me and
Katie
Katie
didn't read.
Is it a page long?
I don't know. When me and Katie went to America, she brought it before we got on the plane, and I was a bit bored one of the nights, so I actually picked it up and quickly put it down and never read anything else. Never read the rest of it again. So I do sort of know.
So you'll know then. It's actually in the book. It's based in London, or certainly somewhere in the south of England, anyway. Okay. And they've shifted it to the suburbs of New York. So Emily Blunt plays the main character, and I think this is spoiler free, but gives you a bit of an idea. So she's an alcoholic who's struggling to come to terms with the break of her marriage. Her husband still lives in the house they used to share with a woman he had an affair with, and now they have a young child. Emily Blunt's character takes this daily train journey, which conveniently for the plot purposes goes past the full view of this house. So she basically kind of toys with her own mind really by constantly going on this journey back and spying on her ex-husband and her new life. And as she's an alcoholic, she's struggling with her own. She's lost her job, all that sort of stuff. And then events take a bit of a major spiral because a character involved in this neighbourhood she's sort of obsessed with due to a train journey. This character ends up dead, and because Emily Blunt's character is constantly in that state of being drunk, she blacks out a lot, and so she can't remember what happened at the time of the incident. So the police sort of contact her and think she might be a suspect, but she genuinely doesn't know. She blacked out what happened, whether she did in fact was involved, wasn't involved. So the film then centres on her trying to almost play an investigator's role, bizarrely, even though she's still drunk most of the time. And what happens is it's shown from 3 characters' perspectives and switches between the present and the past, which gradually, as you'd expect, leads to actually revealing the truth of what really did happen to that character. This is where it tries to be really like Gone Girl in terms of the narrative, shifting back and forth, tries really hard to replicate the success of that, and it sort of falls short really. Where it does work is Emily Blunt. She's absolutely brilliant, she's magnetic, you're really, really interested in her character, you really sympathise with her. She displays a plethora of emotions in it without coming across as overacting, if that makes sense. So you see her got a really roller coaster of emotions, but at no point the whole time you're completely like absorbed in her character and those emotions she's going through, and that's, to me, to her credit. A lot you might mess me mouse in the press around how there was a lot of there was issues in terms of the readership of the book with Emily Blunt being cast in the first place, because she was meant to be a bit of a dowdy, very average, or almost bordering ugly in terms of the way she's portrayed in the book. So obviously an English rose like her being this stunningly beautiful actress, there was some media coverage on that, and apparently the makeup artist had to actually make her look a lot less beautiful than she is in real life. So rather than trying to upscale the actress's look, they actually did the opposite for this. So her segments of the film were interesting. I just didn't feel that the segments of the other 2 characters were anywhere near as interesting. So that's where, and it does feel like it's just trying too hard to be Gone Girl in terms of the way the film's shot. And I believe the book's meant to be a lot more tightly, in terms of the plot, it's meant to be more tightly structured, so it sort of loses itself somewhat for me in terms of the way the film's structured. So if I was asked to do a rating, I'd say 3, and that's it's almost like 4 or 5, and the scenes where it focuses on Emily Blunt's character, but the others are just they're so much lower in quality.
3 sounds like a generous score given the way you've just talked about it.
Possibly. The thing I don't understand is the fact that the book's set in London, but they set it in New York, but then they cast an English character.
Yeah, so it's bizarre. So she doesn't put on an American accent.
It's put in London?
Yeah, it's strange.
Might be cheaper to shoot. Well, it can't be cheaper to shoot in New York, can it?
I presume it's.
I bet they didn't even shoot it in New York. It's probably.
No, probably not.
It's for the. I presume it's. I think more Americans are going to see it, don't they? It's set in America. So.
Interesting. Cool. So probably not one we should go and see. Then we should all go and see Supersonic.
I'd recommend watching. Yeah, I'd recommend watching it on when it comes out on on Sky, because as I say, her performance is brilliant and you're really into it. It's just
I was interested in it until I seen them with the 5.6 that IGN gave, and I thought, I might as well give that a miss now.
As I say, I was like, that's not far off.
I'll watch it when it comes out.
Keeping ourselves in the movies.
Yeah.
This is my poor segue into the next topic. Star Wars Rogue One trailer.
Mm-hmm.
You all just literally watched it for the first time minutes before we started recording, and I picked up on it earlier in the week. It's new. I think this week it's only just dropped. It's the final trailer by the sounds of it before it's released in December. Having not read much about it, I don't know much about it, so we're not going to talk about anything that spoils anything. We don't know anything. Is that fair to say? No one's read about anything. But what did you think? What were your reactions?
Well, it looks like a Star Wars trailer.
Yeah. I thought it looked good in the way it's set, sort of in between the events of the last Anakin Skywalker one, number 3, and the start of
I think it's before that. Because Darth Vader's alive in this film.
That's what I mean. So it's after the.
Anakin, sorry.
After the.
Yeah, sorry, you're right.
Skywalker, and then before Luke.
It looks like it's just on the cusp of the first ever Star Wars film, doesn't it? On the New Hope. It looks like it's right before that. Episode 4.
I mean, if it's going to follow in the footsteps of how they did Force Awakens, I'm excited.
Same.
I think for me, I'm always nervous with prequels because I always think, how much story can you tell that's really going to feel big and epic to me without being something I already know the answer to. So like the prequels from Star Wars originally, we kind of knew where that was going, and those films fell flat because, well, not just because of that, but not just because of the story. There was a multitude of reasons why those films weren't that good. Jar Jar Binks being one of them.
Yeah.
But I think the fact that you knew where it ended up, for me, anything like that always falls flat at the end because I want a story that thrills me with an amazing ending, and I'm just like, oh, what an amazing story. Whereas when I know the ending is going to be that dude ends up in the black suit and he's Darth Vader, I'm not so invested in it. So I just wonder how much can this, what kind of story will this tell that is able to excite you without, well, it can, but I suppose because it's not overlapping, potentially, it doesn't look like it's overlapping with the film we've already seen, maybe it won't, but ultimately, they're fighting. From that trailer, it feels like they're fighting against the Empire.
Yeah.
The creation of the Death Star, they're going to lose it, aren't they? Because we know it gets built in the New Hope. So I don't know, like, those are the little things that bother me, but I mean, the trailer looks amazing. I think the music's really good.
Is when they do films based before ones they've already done, I don't like how sometimes there's technology in what's supposed to be the older film.
Yeah,
that is better than
wasn't the first three, so the three prequel stuff, because those cities looked so vast and so well done up. Technology was so grand and so forward that actually, when you looked at the New Hope and they're hovering around in these little sort of real squared off junk little hovercrafts, and you've seen these sleek chrome ones in the first three films. Yeah, I mean, I agree with you, but I didn't notice any of that really.
No, that's why I liked the trailer, in that it looks like the fourth Star Wars.
We only see X-Wings, don't you, I think?
Yeah.
Yeah, there's some TIE fighters.
Yeah.
And there was an AT-AT as well, wasn't there?
Yes.
But it looks very much, in the whole grand scheme of things, like the fourth one does.
Yeah.
So that sort of piques my interest straight away. In that it looks
I
very
also
much
fancy an original story, whereas Force Awakens was, but like everyone said, and it wasn't a bad thing, it kind of retrod the ground that the first three.
Yeah, especially had characters that you know already,
which was a nice callback, but I think it was the fact that it was like, oh, there's a big new Death Star that's even bigger than the last one, we must blow that up as well. And I'd like to see them do something different with this. And I like the idea of Darth Vader being back as well, because we haven't seen him for a while, have we? So we only saw a glimpse of him in the new three, right at the very end, and it was almost pointless. And then we obviously won't see him in the Force Awakens because he's dead.
Who's going to voice him?
I think they've got what's his face back, haven't they?
James Earl Jones.
I think James Earl Jones is back doing it, isn't he? I'm pretty sure. Well, I'm pretty sure that with the technology these days, they could get someone who sounds enough like him and do enough to make.
Yeah, well, I suppose his voice is muffled to a
It's all warped, isn't it? Yeah, it's put through whatever else to do that technology-wise. But I thought it was really good.
Just wear one of those hats, can you?
I'm excited and I want to go see it.
Absolutely.
I'm certainly not put off by it anyway.
No.
I'm up for that.
I think that's the last. I'm happy for that to be the last I know of it as well. I'm excited to go into it really not knowing much about what happens in this.
I wanted the same as Force Awakens. I had to steer clear of anything that could possibly spoil that for me.
Yeah.
Because I didn't want to know. You know, it's a franchise. You just don't want that. I don't like it when I get it around with Marvel movies and stuff, but some of
the trailers. I did read an article the other day about a guy who's stayed away from any sort of trailers for a year, and he said he feels better off for it. He says when he goes to the cinema and the trailers come off, he'll either go out or he'll stick his fingers in his ears and close his eyes, which is quite interesting, really, because a lot of the complaints with movies these days is because of the amount of trailers that you can see, especially with like the internet and YouTube these days. You can literally see pretty much all the good bits of the film in the trailers. Well, you don't watch those.
The problem with the thing with a lot of the way we consume media now is that we're always looking for instant. The trailers are geared now in such a way that they just make you go, "Whoa! I'm so excited for that." The film almost can't deliver on that, because for 2.5 minutes you can keep that intensity up. Yeah. You can't do that for 2 hours. So I mean, I think I hate going to the cinema. One of the things that pisses me off more than anything is when you go to see a film and they run a trailer about the film that you're about to see, because it's linked to some sort of promotion that they're doing for a food item or something. You're like, I don't want to see these highlights. I've literally come in to watch this film. I don't want to see it minutes before it starts. It's bad enough I've seen it, all the weeks in running up. Don't play it right before the film. That really pisses me off. Really gets to me. Yeah, I'm looking forward to that. I think it's going to be a really good film at the end of the year. And we've got Doctor Strange in a couple of weeks,
which I'm very much looking forward to.
Yeah, really interested in that one. And I think we're going to try and do a spoiler cast on it immediately after that.
Yes.
So it'll be separate from our usual run of episodes, but something a bit different for people if they want to listen to what we thought and see how their views compared to ours. We'll do that straight after the film, so it can be as fresh in our minds as possible. So we'll get that out in the coming weeks. AJ, you have a second topic on our list.
Yep. The new Call of Duty Remastered, COD 4. Basically, I'm just going to talk about that. I'm not too bothered about the other one that's coming with it. I don't even actually know the name. If you Infinite Warfare.
So for context, then you are talking about the bundled Call of Duty 4 Remaster.
Yeah,
it's coming with the brand new Call of Duty that you just said you didn't know the name.
Yeah, she's probably going to stay in its package and never going to be used.
Interesting.
You have to actually put the Infinite Warfare disc into the Xbox to play Call of Duty 4.
Well, that's the only time it'll probably go into.
There you go.
He's where he played Call.
Do you know the install for it?
Oh god.
I've read 126 gigabytes.
Yeah, 130 gig.
Yeah,
That is ridiculous, isn't it?
massive.
Which, for a standard release Xbox, a 500 gig hard drive, take your OS off, you get 350 I think left or something like that. So you're talking almost half of the available hard drive space on an original release game console.
Massive, isn't it?
And I bet you probably 80 gig of that, 90 gig of that is probably the one you don't want to play.
Yeah.
You'll have to install it anyway, I imagine, to make the
You do.
Yeah.
That's bonkers.
Basically, I'll just talk about the game, the little bits I've read on it. It's going to be exactly like the first one. They haven't made hardly any changes to it. The only changes they have made is with the HUD. So there's a few little bits of options on there. You don't have the bar that tells you when you're going to level up, which was on the original games. They've taken that out. They've changed, just tweaked a few of the little things. In the old one, when you saw a weapon on the floor, you didn't know what attachments came with it. You just basically look. Now it tells you, like on the modern ones, what sight it's got, what good
I don't know
attachments
the
it's
last
got.
Are you talking about the multiplayer?
Somebody else's
Yeah, the multiplayer.
So I think a lot of people want to just play the story, because I know I'd want to play the story purely to play Gorillas and Gillies in the Mist.
Yeah.
That's the only reason I want to play.
To be honest, I've never lasted long enough to pick somebody else's weapon up in Call of Duty. I am always dead.
And if you play the Call of Duties these days, I mean, I watched because the Infinite Warfare beta's out at the moment, which I was watching a little bit of that on Twitch earlier. And like I said before we started recording, it looks exactly the same as Black Ops 3. It's got the same layout, the same 2 buttons you press to use your ultimate or whatever you call it. I'm going to Overwatch here. But yeah, it looked identical to what
I had Black Ops 3 and we had about a couple of hours when I first got doing it online together, AJ, and I enjoyed it, but I quickly realised I was never going to play again and sold it, which is my normal FPSs. But
I mean, even someone that play it, he's killing like 5 people. He kills them that quickly that you just spawning and dying.
So yeah,
that's all you ever do.
I've played all the CODs, so I'm not being big-headed. I'd say I'm fairly good at the game. So I can get a good 10-15 kill streak going. So in terms of that, the spawning and killing doesn't really happen. It's the same with any core series like that, Halo, Call of Duty, Battlefield. I mean, if I jump into Battlefield, I don't play it a lot, I die a lot. Wherever I jump into Halo and Call of Duty, I can generally do alright on those games.
I mean, going back to the game, my experience with the games, COD 4 was the first time I played Call of Duty.
Yeah, it was the first one we set with modern weapons.
I think we put a lot of time into that one as a group, didn't we? I think we played a lot of that game.
And
then Modern Warfare 2, I was going to say, I can't remember which one.
The most of.
That's where we put more time.
Cole used to run around with his stabby outfit, stabbing everybody.
Yeah, I think Modern Warfare 2 was probably my favourite, and then after that my interest waned quite quickly. Modern Warfare 3 didn't deliver, and that's me done then, I think.
And the new ones, they seem a lot. I don't know if it's just me because of watching it and not played it. They look so much fast paced. So much more fast paced.
Yeah.
The maps just look like they're completely condensed.
One of the things I was going to say, well, if you go back and play the old COD 4, which I have been doing last week before I went on holiday, the maps are tiny. You forget how small they are.
I was going to say, I think that's more of an evolution of the games.
You forget how
making
small
you remember that. Yeah, I mean, it was always like that, wasn't it?
But it's like this time it's like the two-edged swords. You've got the one side, this COD 4 Remastered, which is a lot of people probably one of the most anticipated games of the year, if not the most anticipated game of the year. Bear in mind, it's a free game that comes bundled with another game, and a lot of people are buying it
because you have to pay extra for a special edition to get.
Yeah, but you have to buy.
Yeah,
a copy of the other game. So I'm sort of looking at it as it's just another way for COD basically to bundle numbers through the door.
Do you think they've seen I don't know stats wise, do you think they've seen a drop in their player base?
They have, yeah. They have seen a massive drop in the amount of people playing the games.
And if there's no appetite for Infinite Warfare, then this is the easy way to sell it, isn't it?
One of the things I was going to say...
After that though, re-release Modern Warfare 2.
Hopefully, I might order that one. Yeah.
I mean...
But it cost £100 then.
One thing I was going to say is a lot of why these developers keep adding things onto the games that they don't need, because obviously we all, well, me in particular, really want to play COD 4. So why do they keep adding in all these gadgets to the games, like the jumping, like the zip roping?
Yeah.
They don't need it. Like
they need to go back to
because if they don't, then their reviews will say they're not innovating.
Like Titanfall came out, and it was about the jumping and the robots, and that was brilliant. That was an amazing game. and I can't wait for Titanfall 2. But then COD saw that and thought, oh, we'll do that.
Yeah,
and it's not so COD it should be all on one level or right into room. You should be able to jump all over the place. You don't need it. And I think by
It got too much like Halo.
Yeah. By looking at what a lot of people are saying about COD 4 and how interested they are to actually get their hands back on it again, that's the sort of games that gamers want at the moment. They don't want all this jumping and flying.
It's interesting as well, though. So I think it's really funny that they must think people are stupid. So they've said that they are not going to sell Call of Duty 4 on its own. You have the remaster. You can only get it if you buy that special edition of Call.
They've said something else.
They've gone against that now.
There was a little sneak thing. The people that because the COD developers, COD and people who've done COD 4 aren't the actual developers. It's another team they brought in to do it.
Yeah.
And they've said there was a little wording that they said was basically they hinted at the fact that it's if you don't get it on release,
there's a time
you're going to have to wait for it.
Yeah.
So I'm thinking maybe 3 months. It will appear on Xbox stores and stuff.
There's no way that anyone, that Activision are going to sink money into a studio to remaster something and then only reap the benefits of those few people that they can dupe into a pre-order. Yeah. Of course they're going to sell it separately. Which is what really annoys me, because they say it out there, like, and some people will genuinely believe and assume that the only way they're going to get this is if they spend 70 or 80 quid on a game they don't want. Whereas the reality is, if you're prepared to sit back and wait a few months, and most people they will, you'll be able to buy it, 3 months, 6 months, whatever it takes. It will still come as a digital release on its own at some point. It has
You'd hope it would.
See, it quite annoys me that it doesn't come with a separate disc now, Carl, now you said that. Because I didn't know that. Because I was going to give the other game a card to my nephew as his Christmas present.
No, you can't do that.
So
he doesn't listen to you on the podcast.
That's sort of ruined that.
I think there was a tweet that came out and said that a lot of people are going to get it, have Call of Duty 4 and then try and sell
you can't
do that because you won't be able to play Call of Duty 4 because you need a disc in to play it.
Unless you buy the digital, in which case you couldn't sell it anyway.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
But yeah, so to sum it up, really looking forward to the game.
I'd be surprised, sorry to add that, I'd be surprised if the remaster is on the disc. I would not be surprised if you have to download the whole bloody game.
I heard from my friend at work the other day that you can play the story mode now. If you've pre-ordered it, if you pre-ordered it, they've sent you a code and you can play the story.
I've seen a few videos.
You can't play the multiplayer, but you can play the story now.
I talked about, very quickly on install sizes, I was shocked and appalled that when I put Gears of War 4 in, there was an 11.5 gig day one update I had to download to update what was already on that disc. 11.5 gig. Oh yeah, because the servers were overloaded, which is a real pain because I bought that, I had that game on the release day, I put it in after work and it took the whole evening to install an update, so I never actually went to play any on the day.
That's why I don't buy physical copies.
When did you buy it? When did you play that?
Download it straight away.
The only time I played, which was the night with...
Oh, you got another 2.5 gig download then?
So I bought it on Sunday on the store.
Bought
it on the store on the Monday. By the time I woke up, the game's good to go.
Yeah.
So, I mean, that's how I buy
But you can preload, can't you, as well? That's why they're digital down. But the problem is if you want to shift it on for any reason, which is... probably should have bought Gears Digital, to be honest, because I knew I'd keep it, but I got a good offer on it in a physical disc. But most games, I don't want to take the risk because I want to be able to shift it on.
You wouldn't have got the digital download for 40 quid, even 35 quid.
No.
No way, yeah. You'll probably have to pay 50 quid for it.
Yeah. Okay, cool. Anything else about the remaster you wanted to... I've seen the visuals on it while you're looking at your notes there, because actually, I think I did a side-by-side of the original and the new one, and it looks good. It looks like they did a good job on it, from what I've seen.
Vicky's going to be getting it, so I'll be playing Call of Duty 4 as well.
The thing is, I think it's a bit weird how a game that's 10 years old has kicked up this much stir and is probably going to be the game of the year when it's 10 years old. All they've done is... one of the most anticipated games of the year.
Probably get played a lot.
And it's, it's 10 years old and all they've done is made it look better.
Stop movies and sequels.
No, FIFA's different. FIFA's
you go back.
No one wants to play FIFA 7 with 17's graphics.
It's terrible.
But
you still. What I'm saying is that the story is.
But if I said, I'm going to make a really poor segue into our next topic. But if I was to say to you today, you can have a remastered version of GoldenEye, you'd probably be more excited about that than you would be a new Battlefield.
They've had the game pretty much built, didn't they?
Yeah, that was them. That was Rare doing it.
Yeah.
But anyway, that's my neat segue into our I think final topic for our quiz, if I'm correct?
Yeah.
I think so. Which is the N64. 20 years it turned this year, which makes me feel so old, it's ridiculous.
Unless you're 20.
So, I'm not. It was released in 1996, and it was released, and I'm going to test you here, or challenge you here to think of something better. Has there ever been a better launch game than this? So, Mario 64 was the launch title with the N64. I love that game. Mario 64 I still think is a brilliant game and plays really well even today. Can you think of a better launch game for a console than that?
Yes.
Okay.
Duck Hunt for the NES.
Disregard Carl. Was
Was
that a release game for the
No,
NES?
it wasn't.
Yeah, it was.
The gun came after the SNES.
The gun came. No, the gun
No, it
came
wasn't
with the
the
NES.
SNES, that
It was the NES.
NES,
Yeah, the gun
sorry.
came with the NES.
That
Was
was
it?
SNES.
It
The SNES
on
was
the
a
same.
Nintendo scope.
It was the same cartridge as Mario, wasn't it?
Yeah.
Yeah, so it must have been on release.
Sonic, I'd say, was up there. I used
Is
to
that a
love
release
Sonic.
game for the
Yeah.
for the Mega Drive?
Sonic was. I'm sure it was a release. Sure, they bundled it.
They bundled it. I don't know if it was a release game though. I'm sure you could. Well, I'm worth checking that. Have a look. But I just thought it was interesting because I thought. I mean, the other game that came out with it was Pilot Wings, which was a pile of shit. But that Mario 64 was brilliant. I thought it would just be really interesting just to see what your memories were of that console because everyone knows there's the favoured games. You've got Mario 64, Mario Kart 64, GoldenEye, Zelda Ocarina of Time, all well trodden. Everyone knows about those. We talk about them regularly. Lilac Wars, maybe less so. And to anyone listening in America, I think that was called. Was that Star Fox overseas?
Star Fox, it was. Yeah.
It was Lilac Wars in the UK, in Europe, wasn't it? Which was random. I mean, we had the wrestling games. God knows how many hours.
Wrestling games. Probably still think of some of the best wrestling games out there.
I know. Yeah,
Absolutely brilliant.
I've played a few of the different iterations in recent years.
Games that would go on for matches for half an hour if you just keep reversing each other and.
We used to play them in every lunch break, didn't we,
Yeah.
at school. We'd go back to yours and play them 4-player. And that was the thing for the N64 for me, was the fact that it was 4-player out the box, which at the time was the first device to do that. You could get multi-taps, but it was the first one that had 4 ports, good to go.
Well, the first console that actually had 4 ports was the Mega Drive, but they incorporated it in through the cartridge.
Yes, but that's not built into the console. Then.
Yeah.
PlayStation 1 had the multi-tap, it's different.
I forgot PlayStation 1 had a multi-tap. I thought it was only the PS2 that
That was the one that was arced and went round.
Yeah, like a boomerang on it.
Yeah, whereas the PS2 one was that little block that just plugged in,
Yeah.
if you remember, and all your memory cards were going in.
I think was it the Mega Drive or Mario and the Master System where, do you remember Micro Machines, the tabletop racing type?
That's it.
The one
That was one where you could play with 8
8
players where someone would actually share a controller.
Yeah.
Imagine that these days.
Sharing a controller. But
Yeah, that's what the internet's for.
As you're speaking about Mario 64, I did read an article the other day, or I've seen an article. There's someone who has reinvented the game.
The remake, yeah.
I've seen it, I've
Oh,
played
you've seen it?
Yeah, I played it.
Did it?
Visually remastered it, yeah. It's
4,000 hours.
Plays quite well.
Is that are you talking about the remastered one or the one that this guy's created a brand new Mario game?
Yeah, he's
He's built
built it.
just more
He's used the code from the original, but yeah.
But I just wonder what your memories were of the N64. And then before you guys answer, because I'm sure you've got loads, I want to know, Chris, do you even remember it? Did you play the N64?
I did. I used to get my ass kicked by you like GoldenEye occasionally. Yeah.
Did you used to play GoldenEye with us?
Yeah, occasionally. Literally, I'd just die constantly. But yeah.
Is there anything else you ever played? What are
I
your memories of it?
really liked Mario Kart, and I loved GoldenEye. I can't really remember any. Those two are the ones that stick out.
They're the only two that Gaz had, I think.
Probably.
Yeah. Lilac Wars.
But no,
was Mario Kart Goldeneye with his thing.
I remember I loved GoldenEye multiplayer that much that I very nearly, because I had a PlayStation 1 at the time, I very nearly bought one, and in 64. Turok's the other one I remember, actually.
Turok, yeah.
But I decided against it because and I'm looking back, it was the right decision anyway, because my enjoyment was coming from that multiplayer aspect, and I wouldn't have got that use out of it. So.
Yeah. And that's what made that console for us, for me anyway.
Yeah, it was the social bit, because you look back on it and it's all good memories of us all sat around the TV, having a laugh, eating junk food, it's just up to the early hours, isn't it?
Do you remember Mace the Dark Ages?
Yes, I had that game.
And they did, that's why I asked if you remember it.
Yeah.
We used to play that quite a lot. That was a weird sort of
Back
thing.
then, it seemed brilliant then, but I don't think it would play very well now.
I don't think it would stand up at all now. I think it would be terrible. But
I just remember replaying the Damn the Facility game mode over and over again because I thought the facility level was just fun.
I remember Gareth always being the one that he had all the cheats unlocked. He could do everything in single player. He put in multiplayer and he was rubbish. And he would die regularly.
Constantly.
At the hands of us. That was always good fun. Mario Kart, fond memories of that.
See, I don't have many memories of Mario Kart 64 because I didn't have an N64. A lot of it, my Mario Kart was just SNES.
Mario Kart was brilliant. So Wario Stadium. It was the first thing, as soon as you start, no one could cheat.
Yeah, because it was a glitch, wasn't
it?
Yeah,
you could cross the wall. Halfway, if you hit the third bubble was just right, you could jump the wall.
And cut half the track out.
No one cheated. And then so I'd be last on the last lap. And jump the wall, not with first.
Why is that not surprising?
I also remember I have fond memories of Zelda Ocarina of Time, which was probably the best Zelda game in my opinion anyway. Yeah. But I remember AJ completing that and coming in and telling me and Gaz, and we were in awe because we couldn't do it, it was really hard. And then Kurt dropped a minute by telling us that he'd used the strategy guide to get through the whole thing.
Of course he had.
That's why AJ denied it the whole time. That was funny. I remember what was your classic character name in the wrestling game? Was it
Viper?
Viper, that was the one. Every character you made was Viper.
Yeah.
And always had like crazy hair and tattoos and whatever you could do to him.
Oh god, I hate those wrestling games.
I love those wrestling games.
Oh my god, every lunchtime, just me going, where's my character? I can't see him. Oh, I'm dead.
And like back to the consoles, obviously a lot of the listeners won't know a lot about it probably, so probably a lot younger than we are. I mean, it was the first console, I believe, that you could get in different colours.
Was it? I didn't know that.
It probably was actually.
Yeah. I remember they did a Pokemon edition.
They did it all. They remember the see-through ones, the crystal ones they brought out.
I remember.
They did the see-through colours. They did it in all different colours. It was the first one that had different coloured pads. That was from the manufacturer. Before that, they was all one type.
Yeah. It was all right fun, that console, wasn't it? Yeah, it was definitely right.
Well, that's where Nintendo went. I mean, even with the Wii, wasn't it? It's not about graphics, it's about having fun. And everyone bought into it. And
it was great having cartridges. I mean, you'd have to blow on them every time to get them to work, despite the warning on the back that says, do not blow on the cartridges.
Yeah.
Do you know, are you aware that the strong rumour is that it's almost guaranteed to happen now that the Nintendo NX is going to be cartridge based?
Really?
Yeah.
No way.
So the new NX is going to be cartridge based, it's all rumour. It's going to be portable, and you'll dock it with your TV to play in the room. But you'll be able to take the 4 games with you on the move anywhere you go. That's the rumour. Interesting.
I mean, I was about to say, the good thing about cartridges is the lack of loading times. You just pop it in, press start, and that was it. Away you was in the game. There was no.
And that's so much about the size of the games over anything else now, is it? I mean, Grand Theft Auto, for example, it's just an absolute nightmare for loading times, but that game's vast.
Yes.
You know,
So if we go back to it, they're so well written. You didn't need all these super high-end graphics and stuff. The gameplay was there with pretty much all the games.
There are some horror shows on the N64 though. Do you remember Killer Instinct? Fantastic on the SNES. Absolute horror show on that control pad.
Yeah.
With the C buttons and all that. It was terrible.
But do you know that?
On the N64, oh, it's
terrible.
The N64, I mean, all modern day controllers are based on it. It was the first controller to use analog.
Yeah.
Yeah.
No other console was using analog at the time. They basically invented it. Got everybody.
You held it weird as well, didn't you? Because you had to hold it in the middle.
3 different positions.
And then, it was strange.
Yeah, because there was basically a third of that pad that for most games was redundant. Yeah, the D-pad just never got used. The shoulder button as well, the D-pad never got used. Yeah, I love that console. I mean, do you remember the? I mean, if you think about it from an innovation perspective, they had Rumble before PlayStation.
That's another thing I've got on my list. Just putting me see. Yeah, they invented the Rumble pack.
Do you remember the problem with that? There was that the Rumble pack and the memory cards were not the same thing.
Yeah,
and you had to change them.
Yeah.
I remember having a third-party one which had a massive memory card and the Rumble feature, and it had like 3 different levels of Rumble. So that's one of the few times I ever ventured off-brand and had third-party accessories. Yeah. And this thing I could have extra Rumble and I had all the extra memory space. It was bonkers. But I remember the Rumble packs, they were fantastic.
Yeah, I got mine with Lila Wars, £80 that bundle was.
Yeah.
Back then, which was, a lot.
Do you remember the balance that it put in the controller though? Because it was really weird, because it was built in with this huge weight at the back and it just shaped the whole thing out of your hand. It was really funny trying to use it. And do you remember the Pokemon expansion device that went on the back of that. So that was,
you plug your cartridge in.
Yeah, so your
Pokemon
Game Boy game cartridge went into the back, and then you could take your Pokemon. That was brilliant, and what a great feature that was.
Yeah.
You don't see that stuff anymore.
No.
I mean, obviously, they could probably replicate that in the digital way now, where you'd upload to the cloud, and then your characters appeared on the console. Why didn't they do that? I mean, that sort of stuff was fantastic as a kid. That was the best thing.
Stuff between consoles.
Yeah, it was brilliant. I think it's funny if you go on eBay now and start buying the cartridges up, they're up a bit more in price now. Because obviously they're becoming more difficult to get hold of. But you know, people save games are still on. We put in, I think it was a wrestling game, one of the wrestling games a few years ago, and it's still got Richard, who we went to school with, was still the holder of the title on the disc. So you plug it in, and obviously all the memory's still there, all the games, all the belts you create, all the characters were still there. And it was a real trip down memory lane, putting that back in and seeing who had the belts then. And we used to play every lunchtime for those belts, and I completely forgot we even did that. They would exchange on a regular basis, and your character would be the one holding it, and that stuff was brilliant. And again, it's missing, isn't it? That multiplayer thing just isn't there. It's all online now, which I know is a great thing to have. But I think the local multiplayer aspect of any game now is missing.
Yeah, a lot of people don't understand the fun you can have all sat around your computer.
Yeah.
Split screen and screen watching and doing all that sort of stuff, and trying to see if anybody was looking at your screen. And
I think in the modern consoles, the closest thing I've got to that is probably FIFA.
Yeah.
When you have 4 players around a screen 2-on-2, that is great fun.
Yeah.
That just generate great laughs. It's an audience thing as well. You don't have to be one of the 4 playing to watch and enjoy that experience. And that's the closest thing I can think of in sort of modern consoles that allows for that. The Wii obviously did it as well, didn't it? That's what made the Wii so successful, was its accessibility. But
did it have online? I can't remember.
The N64?
N64.
I don't think it did.
Did they bring
I don't know if they ever had like a weird
Where?
aftermarket thing for it, I don't know.
And obviously you had the expansion bay as well.
Yeah.
Really the PlayStation 2. It was PlayStation 2 that really brought things online, wasn't it? With,
But Xbox did it first.
Yeah.
The PlayStation 2
Xbox first.
copied, yeah.
I think SOCOM was one of the first ones that you
came
got
bundled with the
network.
PlayStation 2 network out there. I remember having it, and you played it with me, didn't you?
Yeah, we didn't play it very long because you had those headsets that you
It was
wanted
shit,
as well,
yeah.
didn't you?
It was a shit
It
game.
was
That's
like,
why.
oh, this is cool.
terrible.
But then it really didn't work.
Snowboard kids.
That's another one I was going to mention.
Snowboarding as well, was it?
Yeah.
I've actually got that as my most underrated Xbox N64 game.
Snowboard Kids.
Yeah.
It's funny because at the time it was up against the PS1 snowboarding equivalent, and I think what was the one on the PS1?
1080.
You had it, no, 1080
Oh,
was
Cool
on Cool Borders, because that was, I mean, it wasn't by
That's
today's
more
standards
simulation,
simulation.
yeah.
But that was the thing. Snowboard Kids was so far away from that.
It was basically Mario Kart on snowboards.
But those two games kind of define the two consoles. If you think about it, Snowboard Kids was out there, bonkers, kind of fun and bright colours, N64, and then Cool Borders was quite realistic, a bit more grown up, PS1. And PS1 was very much aimed at that market. They pitched themselves as being a much more sort of, a cool brand, whereas N64 then started to become that kind of novelty brand.
I remember one day on that Cool Borders where you had a ramp that you had to go down, and you had to, at each jump you had to do the name, you had to do the trick that he called out. That was pretty hard, that was.
It's just that one thing that's just suddenly come to me when we think about the N64 was GoldenEye's control scheme. Because you think about back how much time you spent on that game and how good that game was.
Yeah.
But you forget that something you take for granted on first person shooters now. Obviously you had 2 sticks, generally speaking, rather than just the one. But you used to strafe on the C buttons, which was ridiculous.
You go back and
so hard
now,
to do.
it's difficult.
It's so hard to adapt to. But it maps really nicely to an Xbox pad. If you get the emulator on a PC or a Mac, and then you map it to an Xbox pad, you can map the directions properly now in a first-person shooter way. So you're mixing up the analog stick and the C buttons, and then redistributing across 2 analog sticks, and it works really well. It plays well.
You couldn't aim and move, could you?
No.
You had to stop.
I think one of the first games that you could actually do that was Time Splitters.
Yes, Time Splitters was great.
Yeah.
Really good game. Chris is there going, what?
That's a shooter game.
Did anybody play the game
That's one of them
that
shooty
was based on GoldenEye, Perfect Dark?
Yeah.
I played that,
Which
yeah.
I think that's the same people
used the
by
expansion
Rare.
back
That was the
then.
expansion, yeah. That's I mean, me and Stuart bought that when we were kids.
Yeah, that was brilliant. And you had this sniper rifle that could see through walls, and you could shoot through walls.
Yeah, it was all alien based in the future, wasn't it? Because that was the franchise they rebooted for the Xbox 360
Yeah.
as part of the launch lineup, and it was rubbish. It didn't play anything like the old ones. It was completely. It was just basically we've got this shoot 'em game, and we're going to put the Perfect Dark wrapper on it because it'll sell. Whereas actually, it wasn't Perfect Dark at all. But that's quite common, isn't it? I think you can play. Well, you can get Perfect Dark on 360s as an arcade game, couldn't you? I think we had that.
That's what it was.
And it's also on the Rare Replay disc, I think, which is that bundle of the Xbox One of all the classic Rare games. I'm almost certain it's on there.
I think it is.
Maybe someone should Google that and double check, but I'm pretty sure it's on there.
You know, I can remember when I got my
Banjo-Kazooie was on there.
Remember when I got my N64, it was one Christmas. I think Gaz was getting it for Christmas, I think you was getting it for Christmas that year.
Yeah, and you weren't. You were having a PlayStation.
Yeah, James.
And then because we all had one, all of a sudden you had one with more than everybody else had. You had like 4 controllers on all the games.
James Page already had it before all of us in there. And I remember like Christmas Day, we opened all the presents and stuff. And then my dad said, "Oh, hang on, I forgot one." This was about like 11 o'clock, and then brought down this N64 that he'd brought, and he'd actually brought it. There was a day, do you remember when James Page was supposed to come round?
Yeah.
He was going to play N64, and he was going to be late, and we all thought he wasn't turning up. My dad that day had actually gone down to Choice's video and bought the console for us to all play. But because James had turned up by the time he got back, he put it upstairs for Christmas.
Ah, okay.
So yeah, that was...
Yeah, Perfect Dark Zero was on the Rare Replay, which I don't think was the actual Perfect Dark. I think that was
No, that was the new one, wasn't it? That was on the Rare Replay. Really?
2005.
Or
that was on the
Xbox. Or was that the N64?
It was an Xbox, it was one that came out on the Xbox store.
Yeah,
that was Perfect Dark, but I know they're rebundled, Rare Replay rebundled. I thought they got the classic one there. I didn't realise that was Zero. That was the poor one, I think, on the Xbox.
Rare Replay came with Jetpack, Lunar Jetman, Attic Attack, Sabre Wolf, Underworld, Night Lord, Gunfight, Slalom, RC Pro-Am, Cobra Triangle, Snake Rattle and Roll, which I remember actually.
I do remember that's the only one I remember so far that you've listed.
Solar Jetman, Digger T-Rock, Battletoads, RC Pro-Am.
Battletoads, I had the Mega Drive.
Battletoads Arcade, Killer Instinct Gold, Blast Course, Banjo-Kazooie, Jet Force Gemini, Perfect Dark, Banjo-Tooie.
Oh, Perfect Dark then? Just
Perfect Dark. That was from 2000 though. And then that was the Xbox 360 one.
No, that would have been N64 because N64 came out in 96.
Oh, yeah. Well, I did.
So 4 years later, that would make sense, wouldn't it?
Yeah, because GoldenEye was first.
Conker's Bad Fur Day, Grabbed by the Ghoulies, Cameo, Perfect Dark Zero.
Conker's Bad Fur Day gets hugely talked and hyped about. It was really, really late on the N64. I never played it. I don't think any of us ever had it, but apparently it's really funny. It's apparently really rude, and it's like a real difference. It looks like on the surface something like a Banjo-Kazooie kind of game. It should be quite fun, but actually it's really rude. Like apparently it's he makes jokes about his nuts and all sorts of quite inappropriate things for a children's games console, which is quite interesting.
And then you've got the 2 Viva Pinatas.
Good games as well. I don't know why you need 2 though.
I did.
It's really 1 and 1.5 because
I didn't play Paradise, whatever it was.
Trouble in Paradise.
Yeah.
Wave Race, do you remember that?
I remember
you
playing
had it,
that.
I haven't had that.
It was the first game that had like sort of water, like wave simulation.
Water effect,
I remember playing it on the arcade and then can't play it on the N64.
I love that console anyway. We've gone on for far longer than we've ever gone on for on our podcast. I think we should move on to our quiz and call this one a day because we're at 1 hour and 43 minutes now, folks.
Wow.
So we have rambled.
Well, we can cut the.
We'll take that Oasis bit out, let's get that out.
For those that can't see what I'm doing, which is everyone else, I'm flicking these signs.
That's typical Oasis thing to do.
Yeah, actually, yeah.
Okay, so I need my question, which is on my iPad. So we are doing a week. Every episode we'll do a quiz. We've just read that. It's 3 questions. 1 on movies, 1 on TV, 1 on games.
I'm not going to get on any of these.
Well, I made them difficult. So far, bearing in mind we've had 6 possible points available to play for. Carl and Chris are both on 2 each.
Yeah.
So they're not running away with this, to be honest. So this week there is a theme, and in honour of the N64 and more specifically GoldenEye, it's James Bond related.
Okay.
So I thought I'd give you something to play with there. Well, I say James Bond related.
Names or stuff, I don't know idea.
Let's say it's sort of James Bond. So we'll start with question 1.
Okay.
This is the gaming related question. Please make a note of your answer so that I know you've genuinely done it and you haven't copied somebody else. So question 1, which unlockable was achieved for completing GoldenEye on Agent difficulty level? Was it A, all multiplayer characters? Was it B, DK mode? Was it C, paintball mode? Or was it D, turbo mode? So which unlockable was achieved for completing GoldenEye on Agent difficulty level? Was it A, all multiplayer characters, B, DK mode, C,
I can't remember this,
mode,
but I reckon I've probably got it wrong.
or D, turbo mode? So mark your answers. Question 2. Martin Campbell directed 1995's GoldenEye, but which other Bond movie did he direct? Was it A, Tomorrow Never Dies, B, Live and Let Die, C, Casino Royale, or D, The World Is Not Enough? So Martin Campbell directed 1995's GoldenEye, but which other Bond movie did he direct? Tomorrow Never Dies, Live and Let Die, Casino Royale, or The World Is Not Enough? That was your movie one. And your TV one.
How can you do a TV one with James Bond?
Well, you're going to find out.
James Bond
GoldenEye's,
Jr.
GoldenEye's James Bond, Pierce Brosnan, starred in which 80s television series? Was it A, LA Law, B, Miami Vice, C, Remington Steele, or D, Magnum PI? So GoldenEye's James Bond, I did put in brackets here, the James Bond, because he's my James Bond. Pierce Brosnan starred in which 80s television series? A, LA Law, B, Miami Vice, C, Remington Steele, or D, Magnum PI? So everyone marked an answer for all 3 questions?
Yes.
Excellent. So question 1 was the unlockable achieved for completing GoldenEye on Agent mode. Chris, you said it was...
On a lot of logic, all multiplayer characters.
So you said A.
Yeah.
I think it was paintball mode.
Damn it.
Adam said he thinks it was paintball mode.
See, I was going paintball mode, but then I put DK mode. I think it's DK mode.
You went DK mode. Chris is correct. It's all multiplayer.
Really?
What?
Yeah. So
I mean,
So
yeah.
Chris is winning the gaming quiz so far.
second
And that's the
question.
gaming question as well.
Second question was the director. What other films did Martin Campbell direct in the Bond universe other than GoldenEye? Chris, you said it was.
Casino Royale.
Adam, you said it was.
Tomorrow Never Dies, I've got no idea.
Carl.
Well, it's not enough.
Chris, you are correct. It's Casino Royale. And he knew that one, I think. I think you knew that one.
Which Casino Royale?
The new one.
Yeah, the new one.
And the third question then, as Chris is streaking ahead here. Come on, boys. GoldenEye's James Bond, also known as Pierce Brosnan, starred in which 80s television series? Chris?
Remington Steele.
Yeah, Remington Steele as well.
I remember.
It is Remington Steele. So Chris is at
I
clean
think
three
I
out
remember
of
that
three.
because it was purely
Yeah, it was the most...
the only English one, I think.
English? Was it? I have no idea.
Well, it
You're
sounded,
right.
it sounded English. It sounded more English than Miami Vice and the other 2 that you said.
So that is an interesting change to the scores. As Chris is now on
a gaming
5.
question.
Can we have a gaming? Can we have a Metal Gear? Your gaming 10
Metal
questions.
Gear happens to be one of our key talking points. I might theme it on Metal Gear. I'll see. So we're currently scoring then. AJ, obviously your first episode, you're on 1 point. Carl on 3. Chris on 5. So it's going well.
Oh, I'm not going to kill myself.
So before we sign off and call this episode a day, Chris, what are you going to be up to in the next couple of weeks before our next episode?
Continuing to watch Westworld. And I'm hoping to see Deepwater Horizon at the cinema, possibly.
Is that the one with Ryan
That's
Reynolds
the-
at the half in?
Mark Wahlberg.
it's-
Oh no, that's the
the one on the
that's the
BP
oil
or-
rig, isn't it?
or
Yeah, I have no
spill,
interest in
yeah.
that. Mark Wahlberg's in it.
Oh, Mark Wahlberg's amazing.
I hate Mark
Yeah.
Wahlberg.
Want to be Mark Wahlberg.
You want to be Mark Wahlberg. AJ, what will you be up to in the next couple of weeks? before our next
Hopefully completing Gears, 4 story mode. Getting my hands on the 4s, the Horde mode. Hopefully doing a bit of streaming review on Pro Clubs, because we haven't done any of that.
No, we need to do some more pro clubs on FIFA yet.
And getting a bit further on Forza. I might do a little review on Forza for the next one. So being a bit more hands on with it and a little bit of play time. So
Cool. And Carl?
Well, I have a week off work, so I'm going to be streaming a lot. What I'll be streaming will probably be a variety of games that I've already been playing. So I'll be Hitman, a bit of Overwatch, Gears will probably be in there a lot, probably the Horde mode. And I'll have to see when James is free so we can go through the story.
Yeah.
What else? I'll be carrying on watching Lucifer as well, I think.
Cool. I will be diving into VR in some way, shape or form. Probably keeping up on a bit of Gears. I will attempt to get a bit further through Jessica Jones, and I will also be playing a lot of FIFA, I guess. Fantastic. Well, that brings us to an end of a very long episode, so 1 hour and 50 minutes. So if anyone's managed to stick it out this long, you can contact us by emailing bossbattlenetwork@gmail.com with any questions or any topics you'd like us to discuss on the podcast. You can tweet us at bossbattlenet on Twitter. You can look at us on YouTube, and we've got some interesting videos up there, and we'll hopefully be filling that out. And you can watch us on Twitch, again, twitch.tv/bossbattlenetwork. Until the next episode though, it's bye from me.
Goodbye.
See you later.
Bye.